of control where I'm at. Like one of the things about the transits is if you're the kind of person like me who I'm not really trying to be in control a lot. And whenever these transits kick on, especially because I have the gate 45, I am now starting to realize what areas I need to start exerting more control over and what areas I can relinquish control over. So it gives us an opportunity to sort of reflect or see what our relationship with these themes are. So let's Philly, you said something, I missed it. All of the above. I've been fighting for control because I feel so out of control. Right. So one of the cool things that you can do to meet this control, this sense of control, because gate 21 is in the heart. In human design, right? Heart is right there. Gate 21 goes from the heart to the throat. And so one of the ways that you can open up this channel from the heart to the throat is open up your hands. And this by the way doesn't require anybody else. It doesn't require anybody else's permission. You're not trying to prove anything to anybody. What you're doing is you're tempering your heart by opening up your hands. Oh, you like the shirt, Philly? I made it. You can't really see because I have all this like red light going on here, but this is supposed to be a reflector aura. It's very blue and translucent, and I don't actually have a link on my bio, but right now I'm just letting the archive people get after it. Steven, I was so confused. Hey brother, what's up? How we doing? We are back for another week of magic. Any Magic the Gathering nerds out there? I know it's not really like human design, but any Magic the Gathering. Um, I love it. Put it on Amazon. We need it. I will probably be sharing the shop pretty soon. Right now, actually, not that I'm trying to control things, but it would be really cool if we got 8 more members in the archive because we're sitting at 192 right now, and I made a statement earlier about having 200 by the end of March, and today's the last day of March. So if you've been on the fence about getting in the archive, and you help me get to 200, you help the membership get to 200, I might have a special surprise for you. So anyway, back to control, back to the heart, and back to this exercise. So for anyone that's feeling out of control, one of the things that you can do is create a container where you're intentionally losing control. And what I mean by that is you're intentionally getting to the point where you want to quit. The heart is all about effort and proving yourself and ego and in the material plane. So one of the things that you can do is open up the hands, like you can make a big shaka. Try and get your finger and your thumbs as far apart, okay? Trying to make your hands big. Then you open up your hands like this, put your hands palm up, and then you're going to go into extension, which means extending the hands down. See if you can't get your middle finger in line with the middle of your arm. And what you're going to do here is you're going to smell, swallow, and then breathe out, but don't dump your air. Don't do this. Don't go, ha! Just control the air, command the air. So what this is going to do after a while of holding your hands, like imagine if there's like a basketball and you're trying to get your hand all the way around the basketball. You're putting a lot of effort and blood and energy into the hands. Now this is going to make you experience something. Okay, it's probably going to make you feel hot. You're going to feel some pressure, some weird things in your hands. Your hands are going to want to start doing like weird stuff. Command that. Command that. Keep the middle finger in line with the forearm and just command that. And every time you inhale, smell, swallow, and release the air gently. Now keep that up for as long as you can, or as long as your internal authority tells you to. This is going to be where you actually get to seize control back from your mind. I'm sharing the archive. It's too powerful to keep away from others on the blocks. Yeah, Michael, that's what's up. I just joined the archive. I'm excited to dig into the content. Mindy, what's up and welcome. Welcome to the archive. And you do it again. So I'll show you the sequence. Fingers down, do shaka. Get your finger, your pinky and your thumb as far apart as you can. Open up your hand, palms up like this. Then you're going to get your middle finger. You see how it's right in line, right in the middle right here? Okay, none of this, none of that. fix it, and then you're going to go into flexion. So you're going to take the hands and you're going to bam, go down like that. And it's like you're holding a big ball and you're trying to get your fingers to wrap all the way around the ball, make your hands big. See, this is where a lot of people underestimate their own willpower. I do human design analysis, yes. Although I'm not an analyst. Like I wasn't trained by the Jovian Archive. I read a lot of their stuff and their training. But for me, a lot of that analyzing of the body graph is really avoiding the problem, which is usually it's stuff like this. It's like, hey, make your neck bigger and wider, because human design was never meant to us to be for us to be a system to master so much as a finger pointing at the true system that we have to master, which is our nervous system and our circulatory system and our digestive system. Like those are the true systems that we have to master. And there's so much sort of like mental, how you say mental, um, teasing around of one's self as opposed to actual embodiment happening within analysis sessions. Not to say that analyses aren't good, but most people don't even have the physical bodies to comprehend the mental analysis that they're being given. And it's literally just disembodied talking heads. A lot of analysts are like this, unfortunately. I know quite a few people who know a lot about human design, but 4 or 5 minutes into this, which by the way, if anyone is doing this, you probably aren't typing, which is amazing. Um, and if you are, just energetically send me the signals. Be like, yo, this feels crazy. Like I'm hot, my hands hurt, my arms hurt. Like I want to punch something, I want to run away. And part of what we're doing in the archive is we're giving you guys these exercises so that you can develop your nervous system the way that nature had intended it with stress. Okay, we're teaching you how to go from stressed out to calm and tolerant, not through some affirmations, but through an actual retraining of the nervous system. And it's quite simple, is we introduce you to a point where it's like, oh, ow, I don't want to do this, I want to run away, or I want to collapse. And we invite you to not do that. We invite you to be stronger. We invite you to uh, feel into the sensations, and instead of trying to figure out, oh, what is this doing for me, etc., or what do I need to do for myself to prove myself, or how do I get in control, you like command your body again. Yawning and muscles relaxing. River, that's right, you're doing it right. And then once you do this, like my forearms are burning right now. It might not seem like I'm putting in a lot of effort, but if I were to show the effort on my face, this is what it would look like. So I just took the effort that was in my hands, that I'm putting into my hands, and I put it into my face so you guys could see it. The magic, though, is being able to have that effort in my hands and not be. It's called diaphragms. It's called having the right hand be able to pat the head and the left hand being able to rub the stomach, right? What's the process you're doing right now? So this is called sensory design. This is essentially a technique that we use to help people physically decondition themselves using human design. For anyone that wants to, by the way, you can relax and then just dangle the fingers. I kind of like to play around with my fingers or do finger exercises while I'm doing this, but I digress. Um, Effectively, what we're doing is we're giving your nervous system an opportunity to become strong, because society has normalized making the world cushy and safe for us. But unfortunately, in doing that, we've all been put into this zoo. We're all waiting for food to be delivered to us. We're all looking to prove ourselves, and we don't know why. We're all obsessed with how it looks and not how it feels. And that's what we're looking to do, is help you guys get obsessed again with how it actually feels, so that way you don't have to rely on an external authority. External authority would be like what I'm doing right now. I don't want you guys to have to rely on me. Eventually, I want you guys to be able to rely on your own inner authority, rely on your own intuition, rely on your own inspiration, be able to tell the difference between intuition that's meant for you, intuition that's meant for other, inspiration that's for you, and inspiration that's coming from other beings. Stress that's for you and stress that's from other beings. You guys recognize that if you can teach your body how to discern the difference between stress that's internally coming from you and stress that's externally coming from other people or the environment, like you win. You win. I guarantee 80% of the problems that you have right now that you're thinking about have no relevance to you. If you were to solve them, it wouldn't make your life any better. 80% of the stress 80% of the stress that you have right now in your life is not even yours. If it were to disappear, you would be confused and you would be like, oh, where did it go? And you'd probably, your mind would find another source of stress to stress you out. And we do this for a lot of different reasons. We do this to fit in is one of the main ones. Survival is another reason that we'll do this. But the sad reality is we do this because we don't know that there's another way, and that there have been consequences to doing things our way. Like when you were a kid, at some point, you were doing something your way. You were on the trampoline on your back, and someone was like, "Oh, don't do that. It's dangerous." Granted, it might be dangerous, but someone said, "Hey, don't do it that way. Do it this way." You might have said why. You might have rebelled, or like most kids, you just said, "Oh, okay. I'm just gonna do it the way everyone else does it." And now your little rainbow of an imagination is gray, and it's unfortunate. But it doesn't always have to be that way. So I'm new to the archive, and from the first practices, I've felt huge shifts in my body and my presence and how I'm experiencing my life. Thank you, Christy. You're so welcome. Thank you for living it. Like, again, I want everyone to be their own internal authority. I don't want you guys to have to rely on external authorities. It doesn't mean I want you to disrespect your surroundings, but I want you to actually be able to see what is going on around you, as opposed to just trusting that the external authority is going to tell you everything that's going on. Like, recognize there's a difference, and we can use dating as an example, or a business deal as an example. How many of you have like dated someone or started a business with someone or gone into business with someone, and then later on realized that the person that they said they were is not the person that they actually are? How many of you done that? Show of hands. Yeah, yeah, of course. We've all done that. We've all done that. The reality is that what's going on inside of you doesn't have to be the thing that you externalize. You can lie about how you're feeling, and other people can do that too. And when you learn how to truth sense, like you guys seen Dune when they connect their fingers, do you guys know what that is? This is called the radial line. This is essentially the ability for me to go like and focus. Okay? Focus. That's focus, radial. This is ulnar. This is peripheral. This is the ability for me to be relaxed. This is my nervous system being like, oh, I can see everything around me. We are stuck in this. We're stuck in focusing, and we're focused on the wrong things. We're focused on what you're telling me, not how I feel about what you're telling me. We're taught that how I feel about what you're telling me doesn't, it's like if that person's more influential, how I feel about what they're doing doesn't matter. And it doesn't, unless I make it matter. Unless I decide, hey, I'm leaving this community, hey, I'm out of this deal, etc. So you have to take responsibility for yourself. And this is where there's a saying that I really like: the truth is your only protection. And for most people, they will not let go of their story about what's going on in the external world, or they will not let go of the external world's story about what's going on, and they adopt that. They let somebody else, they let big pharma tell them they need medication. They let the grocery store tell them that they need these food. They let advertisements, and it's cool actually now because with AI, and this is a thought that I actually really want to explore with some of y'all. I'm a professional at disrespecting my surroundings. That's right, Michael. You and me both, brother. To a degree. I know exactly how much disrespect to throw around without pissing off the external authority, and I can still be invisible and disrespect the surroundings. We're like sleeper agents. It's literally like being in the Matrix, guys. Once you learn this stuff, it literally feels like waking up from the Matrix. And by this stuff, I mean the things that we're teaching in the archive. It's called sensory design. It's the physical deconditioning of you using human design. It's not about learning all your channels and gates and stuff like that. It's about using the channels and gates and centers to discover your organs and do things that like you think you need from other people, but you actually just need from yourself. One of them, one of my favorite, is supporting your heart. People talk about all the time, like, I want to feel emotionally safe with you. I want to feel like my heart opening with you. But they're not doing anything inside their own body to even prepare themselves for that. And what I mean by that is very simple. Take a big inhale and expand your lungs like you normally would. See how much bigger I get? Okay, great. Exhale all your air out. Get small, 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 small. Now use your arms, create braces. Create the banks of the river, create the bumpers, right? Compress yourself. Now, when you breathe, instead of expanding outward, expand inward and hug your heart. For some of you, this might be the first time that you've ever felt truly supported. And you can keep that pressure online. You don't have to have it at, I don't know how much effort you were putting into that. I was putting maybe like 60, 70%. But you can have that online like 10, 20%. So that way, when you're walking into a new environment or somewhere that might be scary or a place where you might feel like you need to prove yourself or you're feeling insecure about your own self-worth, instead of performing, instead of asking somebody for validation, you can just hug your own heart, be like, I'm supported, I'm good, I have nothing to prove. Lily, you love that. Of course, we were designed to love this. We were designed to use sensation as an inner authority. Heart hug is a great life tool. Yes, it is, Corey. And that's just the beginning, guys. That's just the beginning. You want to know how to get anxiety out of your head? Suck it out of your head. Or push it down into your body. God, this is not rocket science by any means. It actually kind of demands that you let go of science, that you let go of, again, what the external authority would say about it, and you like really tune into how does it actually feel. How do we deal with emotional vulnerability without getting overwhelmed? You train at the edge of your overwhelm. By training at the edge of your overwhelm, I'm talking about like what we were doing here. Like, for instance, this whole heart thing, heart hugging. How long can you do that before you're either trying to run away or you're just collapsing under the pressure of it? For most people, they're not going to be able to do that for longer than 2 minutes and hold it sustainably. And so the way that you deal with what do you say, with emotional vulnerability and emotional overwhelm, right, is you put yourself in the state of overwhelm and then you consciously relax yourself. Here's another really good tip for you guys. Just start stroking your neck up like this, up or down, whichever feels more relaxing. You can do both. This is a self-soothing technique. This is for when you're overwhelmed and you want to soothe yourself. This is where most people would ask, like, hey, could you use less violent language or could you tone your tone down? But it's like they could always just say no. And then what? You have to cancel them online? I'm so done with it all. Because guys, you have hands. You want support? You want someone to hold your hand? Hold your own hand. That's it. That's it. Because the people that are actually able to help you, they're not going to help you unless they see you putting in the work for yourself, unless they see you working with yourself. And we've made it really easy. We created a membership that teaches people how to do this. And we're grounding this in the body. It's not just some idea, guys. Like, there's exercises for the hands, there's finger sequences to help you, like, get, instead of being all up in your head about, oh, I got to prove myself, just like, hey, just bust out some finger sequences. Experience your body. Like, your body can take so much. But the mind wants you to be like, oh, the body is frail and fragile. And in some ways it is. But in a lot of other ways, it's very robust and very powerful. You like that shirt, Prana? I made it. I made it. Well, I asked Alexander if I could make it, and he said yes. Um, which I'm going to be sharing the merch link soon. You know me, I like to keep things secret. Your energy is immaculate. I can feel you all the way from Germany. Much love, my friend. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. I just do this stuff all day long. This is my my life. I've surrendered to a life where I'm literally just on the fringes exploring How do I get all of this information from human design into my body? And what I've realized is that it's already there. It just needs to be excavated like an archaeologist. And that everybody has all of this wisdom, the same wisdom that I'm accessing, the same gnosis. You have all of this in your body, but you don't need any more downloads, right? You don't need any more downloads. Not from me, not from my partner Pasha, not from anyone on Instagram or TikTok. You need to start listening to your body and uploading that in a way that you can become more reflective, in a way where you can put yourself in a situation that is very intense, that requires a lot of effort, and soothe yourself at the edge of overwhelm. That's what all this work is about. I'm already getting hot. Son of a bee. Pardon me while I open up my... Here we go. Live in your truth. Carrie, like I don't even think I have a truth. The closest thing that I have to truth is my opinion. And when I'm actually sided with objective truth. That's the closest thing that I have to your truth. I don't believe in your truth. I don't believe in safe spaces. I don't believe they exist. And in fact, I know they don't exist because I've witnessed people in safe spaces be very unsafe. They're being preyed upon. They're being taken advantage of. They're being controlled. Do you sleep alone in a van? I do. Every night I sleep alone. I have a family. I have a partner who's pregnant and a 2-year old, and they sleep in the house. I sleep in my own bed. One of the big things about human design is to just sleep by yourself. So, Steven, you did not miss anything. Don't worry about being consistent here. Worry about being consistent in your body and with your practice. Summer is there, Hawaii. Summer is definitely here in Hawaii, dude. Yeah, it's getting hot. Yeah, I heard my buddies in San Diego. We're talking about that. Have you watched Adolescence? No, I think you told me to watch that, bro. I haven't gotten around to it. Goldilocks wants to know why. I'm assuming you're talking about the sleeping in your own room. It's basically because so there's this field around us, right? As well as the physical bodies that we're in. Um, Effectively, you don't get great rest when you're next to somebody else habitually. You can get fine rest, like sleeping next to somebody 1 or 2, 3 times. Okay. But if you do like 10 years of sleeping in the same bed, I mean, look at the people that have been together for many, 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 many years, sleeping in the same bed, whether they're upset, whether they're happy with each other, whether they're indifferent. They still go to the same bed to sleep. It's like it becomes an expectation. And one thing about the human body is that anything that happens enough, we eventually like make it a part of our world. So because like for instance, like at one point walking used to stress you out. Eating used to stress you out. Pooping used to stress you out. Making new friends used to stress you out. You didn't know how to do it, but eventually you made it a part of your programming. You conditioned yourself. At one point, driving really used to stress me out. And so when it comes to sleeping in the same bed as somebody else, that eventually becomes part of the programming. And then you stop viewing that as, oh my God, this is my person. I'm so grateful that I get to rest next to them. And a lot of the times it becomes, wow, this person is stealing my rest. So it's real. And it's not even that they're stealing your rest. You guys are just preventing each other from resting, is what it is. All designs should sleep alone, even if they are double definition. So again, this is like these are the suggestions. This is part of the external authority, guys, is what I was talking about. This is why human design is such a powerful and possibly dangerous tool. Dangerous to your signature, possibly because you could rely on human design to like tell you everything that you need to do, but it also could be dangerous to your conditioning in your not self because it could actually be inviting you into your inner authority. The point of this don't sleep in the same bed as anybody else is especially if you're in a relationship and you're having struggle and strife in your relationship, just start sleeping in your own beds. Because two things are going to happen. Either you're going to be like, oh my God, this is great. I need to do this a lot more often. Or you're going to be like, oh my God, I really want to be back in bed with my person. I feel super anxious. And oh my God, I'm using my person as a pacifier to avoid anxiety and doing the work necessary to actually get the anxiety into my body so that I'm not a disembodied head being anxious. And this is probably why, like, you're going to have some realizations, especially if you've been with someone for a long time. And if your partner wants to do one of those things where they're like, oh, what did I do wrong? You don't love me? Be gentle with them. But also, like, recognize that that is kind of the same thing as you being like, hey, I need to eat. And they're like, no, 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 I'm not hungry. Like, why do you need to eat? It's like, dude, if your partner is preventing you from nourishing yourself on any level and you allow that, it's your freaking fault. And you need to get over that. You need to also get over this idea that you're helpful to someone when you don't know how to help yourself. Share the live if you guys like this. Share, because again, there's so many external authorities out there that are not able to tune into their inner authorities. And you can tell the difference immediately. You can tell the difference. Something in your body becomes incredibly suspicious when somebody is saying something that they don't embody themselves. And then there's part of you that lights up when someone with integrity speaks. Now, I'm not saying everyone is, like, you have to have this standard. But I'm saying is, if you want to live in a world where you have people in your life that you can actually trust, you have to develop the faculties to be the lie detector. You can't rely on, oh, this person has 100,000 followers on Instagram, they must be an authority. No, they could buy that. This person's got a degree on their wall, they must know how to heal people. No, how many people have they helped? Like, look at their track, look at the history that they've created for themselves. That's why reviews are so important, guys. This is resonating so much for real. Guys, I live this every day. Every day I wake up, I'm like, how do I get more people to become obsessed with their inner authority? Because most people are obsessed with how they look to the external authority. And that's different than being obsessed with the inner authority. And this is where a lot of strife comes from. This is where a lot of egotism and narcissism comes from. Because a lot of narcissists are feeling a lot of pain and sadness on the inside, but they don't want to be perceived that way. They want to be perceived as strong. They want to be perceived as, etc., as all the things. You already know what I'm talking about. The only way to tell the difference is not to ask your friend or watch a bunch of "this is how to spot a narcissist" videos on Instagram or TikTok. That's not the way. You could do that, but you're going to be caught in all these mental loops. The only way is to actually connect circuits in your brain and in your body. That's a circuit. Mudras, right? Focus circuit, relaxation circuit, as a base level, okay? The only way to actually find out is for you to become really good. For you to become really good and call yourself out on all of the illusions, on all of the suppressed truth. This is how I actually feel. This is how I feel. But I'm not going to share it because it's going to upset someone. Crazy, isn't it? Other people don't even think about us, and we think we should look good for them. Exactly. Like in Fight Club, they say it really well. He's like, we're all working to make money so that we can buy things to impress people that don't give a shit about us. And it's more than just buying things. It's going into careers to impress mom and dad or to prove worth to an ex that said I would never amount to anything. And again, nothing wrong with any of that. But my suspicion is that a great many people don't actually even know how it feels to be moving in a direction for the wrong reasons. Just ordered a breath belt and sandbag. Let's go, Steve. I started socks with the pockets of the breath belt and then moved to tennis balls and then lacrosse. Roberta, that is the way. That is some gnarly stuff. For those that don't know what they're talking about, I'm going to wear it for a little bit, but I also don't want to get too sweaty, but also screw it. I also don't want to cover up my logo, but I'm going to do it anyway. This is part of the training that we do. It's called the breath belt. And this is actually really helpful for emotional authority people because in human design, right? solar plexus is right there. But in the body, it's called the celiac ganglia, and it's like this bundle of nerves that just goes through everything right here. So it's very much so in the midline, even though it's off to the side over here. In the midline, we have the opportunity to strengthen it by, of course, it sounds so silly when I say it out loud, but I guess it's helpful. You strengthen the midline by strengthening the midline. Like we make muscles and things stronger by subjecting them to heat, pressure. That's it. And differentials, right? Like one of the best markers for health is heart rate variability. Can you go from to. So what I'm letting this do is I'm letting it squeeze me, and then I'm breathing out against it, and I'm going to hold that breath outward. This is the ability for me to keep other people's emotions out of my field. Because even if you have emotional authority, other people's emotions can still wiggle their way into your field, and it will cause you to do all kinds of things with improper motivation. You'll be, you know, hanging out with somebody not because you want to hang out with them and you feel good when you're with them, but because you have this sneaking suspicion that they're going to be sad if you don't hang out with them. So that's why you hang out with them, and your friendship is just built on that. It's a coddling kind of relationship, and it's not good for either of you. If you're enjoying the live, I'm going to go take a pee. Please do me a favor, like the live, come up with some good questions to ask me when I get back, and let me know if you can hear me peeing, because I already know you can hear me peeing. I've been told that by multiple people. Let me slam this cup of tea real quick. I'll be right back. Dude, Steven, I love that you're getting your breath belt. That's awesome. Oh wait, I'm sorry, I'm confusing the Steve and the Steven. Guys, I've been using dryer balls. I really needed to order the dragon eggs. Enjoy it. If it works, it works, you know? If it works, it works. I just saw the notifications and he must be using the restroom. Yep, using the restroom. How are you hitting the right points? Which points are you talking about? Can you talk about emotional projectors a bit? Sure. So one thing about projectors is that they're very often obsessed with how other people see them because that's how they see people. As a projector, contrast to a generator who really is unable to escape their own experience of life, a projector is unable to escape the other person's experience of life. Meaning that part of your judgments of the world are simply based on the fact that you see the world a certain way and most people don't. Most people are looking at the world, what's in it for me? Projectors are inherently designed to be thinking and feeling based off the others, right? And it's because they lack what's called sacral definition. Sacral is the thing inside you that when you smell something, it goes, or ugh, ugh. It's the gag reflex. Like if you've ever had a gag reflex, you smelled something disgusting and you're, okay? That's a sacral response, and everyone has one. However, if you're a projector, manifester, or reflector, you are going to experience other people's sacral responses convoluted with your own sacral response. So if your friend goes, ugh, you're going to be like, ew. When in actuality, you might be like, like you deserve that one, bitch. So it's very important to recognize that you have a judgment about the world that is based off of your lack of understanding of how you view the world. Does that make sense to you? So real for me. I love when human design proves it's wild. Um, so one of the ways that you can do that is, I would say, as a projector, all projectors ought to do eye exercises. And also, one thing that you can do to avoid getting too involved with other people is stop looking everybody in the eye. It's not how you say, I feel like it's become a standard in the spiritual community and the awakened community, whatever, to look people in the eyes and connect really deeply with everyone. No, 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 no. That is a dumb standard, in my opinion, because there are so many pretenders in the spiritual community that want to connect deeply with people, but 100% do not deserve it. But because they have the dreadlocks and they smell like Palo Santo and they can play an instrument and they sing Nako songs, that it's like, oh, they're spiritual. Again, they're doing it for the external authority. They're not doing it because it's internal authority. And so what you have to do is fortify your internal authority so that you can sense that. So that you can be like, oh, this is someone that I don't want to look in the eyes. It's not because I'm being insecure or I don't want to connect. That's like, it's okay to not want to connect with somebody. And one thing that you can do is, instead of looking into their eyes, you can just look right up here. Look in between their brow. Look in between their brow. Or you can even just like close your eyes when you talk to them. This will prevent you from connecting too deeply with the other person. And then I would also recommend doing eye exercises. Here's one. I'll give you one for free. If you want more, please come join the archive, because it's not about like us making money. It's about recognizing that it's more than just the eyes. It's also in the hands, in the feet, and there's too much for me to be able to teach you right now. So check this out. Replace your nose with your ear. You're going to turn your head and you're going to keep your eyes facing forward. Smell as you turn your head. Replace your nose with your ear. Swallow. Exhale. Bring your nose back to center. Smell the other direction. Swallow. Exhale, come back to center. That's going to help to unglue your eyes from the back of your head, so that instead of just reactively looking at someone and connecting with people, you're going to actually have a moment of, oh, do I want to connect with this person? Yep, I used to connect too deeply with all the wrong people. So there's the thing, is like, you can have these shallow connections as long as you're not preparing yourself for an energetic meal with your eyes because you're connecting so deeply. You can just look. I'm looking above the cameras. It's very subtle. Like, you guys obviously still have my attention, but I'm not feeding into it. And I will instinctively do this when I want to get more information from you guys. I'll look into the cameras, and I have two different cameras. I have my TikTok camera and I have my archive camera, and I'll look into which one depending on which energy I want to draw and resource from. Can you speak to sexual energy and human design? Absolutely. So that's the sexual energy center, the sacral. And it's important to have a sacral response, like have a somatic experience of your sacral response, which is like, go, mm. Everyone just go, mm, 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 mm. Now, what I want you to do is take your hands, take your fingers. The back of your fingers is actually really nice too. And I want you to go, mm, and I want you to see if you can feel the vibration of your throat on the backs of your fingers. Mm, mm, Okay, now I want you to take your other hand, put it on your belly. Now I want you to see if you can feel any of that vibration that you're feeling up here in your throat, in your belly. Mm, mm, mm. And if you can't feel it down here, this is showing that you're disconnected from your sacral. You're disconnected from your sexual and creative energy, and it's literally just a matter of, hey, if you did this more, eventually you would figure out how to feel again, and you would connect. I rarely look at people directly in the eye when I know you. I do, but not with everyone. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yep, I feel it all the way down to my pelvic bone. Great. That's how. And this is the thing, is, it's not there's anything wrong with you. Like, there's some kind of like, how you say, personal problem. It's just like a neurological dysfunction. It's like a lamp that never got plugged in, or at some point somebody unplugged it because we needed the house to be dark, but no one ever plugged it back in. And a lot of this happens at childhood. And a lot of it is due to, you're upset about something and your parents are like, don't be so upset. Like, it's not a big thing. You're like, well, I guess I'll never be upset or listen to my sacral again. And you cut your head off. You disconnect from your sacral. And it's as simple as vibration. Like, how hard is this? But so many of you are still going to go online and look for a sacral embodiment coach or a sexual liberation coach. Like, you don't need any of that shit. You don't need any of that shit. Oh, my nerves are seriously damaged all the way to the tips of my toes and my fingernail. Yeah. Have you heard the idea that intensity, looking at a reflector in the eyes, will make you cry? I mean, I make a lot of people cry. It's kind of my thing. No, it's not necessarily my thing. But a lot of people will cry when they come into contact with these parts of themselves because, again, the mind thinks it's in control. But it's like if you break your leg, and this is where a lot of new age spirituality gets a lot of heat, is because new age spirituality will say like, oh, if your leg is broken, just believe that it's not broken and it will not be broken. It's like, bruh, what the fuck are you talking about? If your leg is broken, then your leg is broken. If your neighbor breaks their leg and yours is fine, you don't suddenly run faster. That's the kind of logic that the mind has, is that if your neighbor breaks their leg, that you somehow run faster. No, you have to learn how to run faster. You have to tend to the broken leg. And there's an intersection between fitness and spirituality that I genuinely believe we're on the bridge of it, and it's so fun. I get weirded out with eye contact. Like, what are y'all looking at? Right. A lot of projectors don't want to be seen, but then that's also the only thing that they crave. They're like, oh, I just wish someone would see me. And it's like, stop allowing yourself to be seen by the wrong people, and the right people will start to seek you out. Tissue is still missing, but overall, I'm improving. I believe 100% that with the right mindset over time, like for instance, if you break your leg and you believe that it's healed, that means that you're going to take care of it. If you have the intention, I'm going to heal my leg, you're taking care of it. You're not walking too early. You're not doing things that are going to inhibit your healing process. This is where spirituality actually has power, is over time when you continue to send, hey, oh man, I'm frustrated that I can't walk, but it's like, okay, I'm going to deal with that frustration. I'm going to learn how to tolerate it. I'm going to be tolerant, right? I personally believe we can fix anything over time. It's not like an instant thing, but over time, we can quote unquote fix anything. We can find any lamp that's been unplugged. We can regrow tissue. It's happened before. And it's starting to happen again. I genuinely believe that. It's starting to happen again. But it doesn't happen by way of you getting like a secret hack. It's hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and days and years and months and a long time of you learning how to saturate your body with blood. It's about getting blood to the areas. And you can tell when blood is getting to the area. Like again, if you open up your hand like this versus squeezing your hand like that, they're very subtle differences, but one is like expelling blood and then the other is calling blood to the fingers. Most people are gripping onto things, and what they don't realize that they're doing is they're pushing all of the blood, they're closing off their wrist from blood or their hands from blood. But there's a way where you can hold something and send blood to your hand. It works easier like this. But anyway, dog ate my tricep. Oh man, that's wild. Yeah, let's heal that tricep. Well, you discuss how to maintain a healthy amount of empathy as a projector. And for anyone, I believe empathy is a good quality, but for a phase, I thought I needed to be a retired empath, right? I think you do a great job of showing empathy without taking on other people's energy, 100%. So it's all an inside job, right? It's like you can only be empathetic up till the point where you're annoyed or you're so uncomfortable that you can't maintain the intention of empathy. If your point is to be truly empathetic, you ought to endeavor to be more honest with how much you can take. And again, how much can you take depends on how much you've taken and how you respond to what you're taking. So for instance, there are people who can take a lot and they're suffering and their body is sending them signals. I'm tired. I don't want to hear this. Their ears are literally closing off. They're starting to glaze over in the eyes. But again, they want their friends to know that they're there for them, even though they're physically incapable of being there for them. These are signals from the inside. This is feedback that your body is giving you in response to what's going on. And when you ignore that, that is where people get to this burnout stage, or where they think they need to be a retired empath. Like, oh yeah, I used to do that, but it sucked. So the real question of like how to maintain a healthy amount of empathy is to first off become aware of how your body speaks to you when you are like at your limit. A lot of the times for projectors, especially splenic projectors, you'll get your throat will start to close up, your head will start to get like you'll literally just start to check out. You'll feel like you're sick or you're dying. Um, and yes, technically everybody is an empath. However, the difference between an empath and a sympathizer is this: an empath is able to actually feel in their own body what's going on in the other person. And a lot of projectors, reflectors, non sacral beings can do this. A sympathizer is someone who just like gives pity. Basically, oh man, I'm so sorry you went through that, rather than like, I hear you. And a good empath knows how to hear somebody without like buying into their story. Because this is the magic of holding space for someone. Someone might come to me and say, Marco, there's just been so many things that have been wrongly done to me, and blah blah blah, and my ex is evil, and da 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 da. And I say, I hear you. And that'll like piss them off because they don't want to be heard. A lot of the times when people are talking like that, Paulo, they want someone to buy in. They want someone to reinforce. They want someone to, for their mind to be like, oh yeah, they're an evil person. One of the funniest things ever, guys, is, and I've done this before. If you talk shit about your ex, you're just a silly human being. Because it's like, oh, this person betrayed me. They were so mean, blah, blah, blah. So you're telling me either that you are incapable of recognizing when you're being played, or like you let somebody hypnotize you. Like basically, when you're complaining about your ex, to me, and there's a difference between complaining and like venting and processing and like attempting to figure something out for yourself. But if you're just like actively complaining about an ex, like you were doing stuff with them. At one point you thought like their butthole was great. You know what I mean? Like don't complain about your ex ever. Ever. If you need help figuring something out and processing something, ask for that. But if you find yourself complaining about your ex, cut that out immediately, because that is one of the biggest dramas that the mind and the heart will draw us into. Is like, oh, I was wronged in my last relationship. I'm like, okay. Again, do you want sympathy or do you want empathy? Because empathy is going to be like a sort of, hey, I hear you. I hear what's going on. What are you feeling right now? I'm like, oh, I'm just feeling really betrayed and hurt. And it's like, you did that already. You went through that. What are you feeling now? Oh, you want revenge. Ah. Holding space is not just validating somebody's story about themselves. Holding space is like, hey, look, I hear you. I hear what you're saying. I hear your perspective. Have you considered what the other person is feeling? No, you haven't. Oh, okay. Because maybe in their version of the truth, you're the bad guy. That's one thing I do with myself a lot. I'm like, how am I the villain? How am I the villain? Sorry, eventually found you now here. So as a projector, the right people will come when you are showing yourself on social media. Not necessarily like it's not about showing yourself on social media, because it's like social media is like a virtual reality in my opinion. Borderline augmented reality. For most people it's virtual though, because they never interact with their followers in real reality. And by real reality, I mean there's a difference between like talking to somebody online and feeling somebody through the screen. So it's not about projectors putting yourself on social media the proper way. It's about you enjoying what you're doing so much that you are able to document it in a way, and you can then share that with the world. People will flock to that. But if you're doing it just for the sake of attention, probably get off social media for a little bit. Tomorrow, my natal chart, nothing like the 21. Yeah, this gate 21 is intense, guys. Like, I've been feeling it pretty intense. Sebi! Mark the Great. That's right. Love it when you say my name, brother. This one's for you. Rosie, pay attention. Yeah. As also in terms of for anybody that is wanting to be successful on social media, one of the first things that you probably need to do is take a 28-day break from social media. Reason I say that is because if you don't, and while you're on that break from social media, come join the archive and spend the next 28 days training with us in the archive, because what's going to happen is you're going to realize through doing this, and it might take longer than 28 days, but what you're going to realize is that so much of your drive to do social media and appear a certain way in social media, again, is based on fear. It's based on the external authority. It's based on who I need to be for the world rather than who I am right now. Most people don't think who they are right now is good enough to put on social media. But do you know how many people would rather see who you are right now with your mistakes and your flaws moving through, going on your yoga journey, going on your breathwork journey, going on your, whatever journey, rather than, this has been 10 years in the making and I've done this. And I was literally this person. I spent years just like, lightly posting on social media because I wanted people to see kind of what I was doing. And then eventually I got to the point where I was like, I'm actually going to let people in on my process and what I'm doing. And that's when things exploded for me. Because I went from my motivation being about getting followers and influence to tuning inside. And they were actually very similar. Like a lot of my pre-human design motivations were like, oh, I have all these teachings, people need them to heal themselves, etc. Then I started touching into my own inner authority, doing the sensory design stuff, biomechanics, all that. And it became more so, I have so much information that is just coming out. It's just coming out. It's not about other people seeing them. It's about me being able to express this so that I can understand what the hell is happening to me and contextualize my own awakening in my own words. And through that, hundreds of thousands of people now follow me, which is wild to me. But it was because I went from, and for me it's sustainable because I went from this like external motivation, I want to be seen in this way, to hey, this is how I actually am feeling. And I show up every day to this. Dang, that was deep. Thank you for that, bro. Got you, Steven. Got you, my bro. Rosie K, got you. Got you. It's funny. Guys calling me Mark. It's not my name. I'm also not upset by it. My brother used to tease me. He'd call me Big Mark. Because my younger brother of 2.5 years is bigger than me. And he would call me Big Mark. And at one point it really would upset me because he was bigger than me. But then eventually I just started laughing at it. And of course he texts me as I'm talking about this. Are you on my live, Luke? It's because they identify as the ego and the not self. Yeah, exactly. And it's not wrong to identify with those things. That's just a part of the picture. It's just a part of the picture. Hi. Could elaborate on Real with Pasha talking about upper lower trigrams fasting or not fasting. So actually, when it comes to that, effectively what you're looking at is sort of like advanced versus less advanced digestion systems. The lower trigrams are technically less advanced. The upper trigrams are more advanced. And so basically, if you have a 4, 5, or 6 in your profile, fast. If you have a 1, 2, or 3 in your profile, don't fast. And of course, most people have some lower trigram and some upper trigram type stuff happening in their chart. And so, again, how do you feel when you fast? How do you feel when you don't fast? Eating is so much more about you paying attention to the signals coming out of your body. However, most people are relying on, oh, I'm going to do this diet and that diet and that diet and this. And they're looking for somebody else to tell them what their feelings mean rather than giving their bodies or giving control over to the body. Yeah, Don Julio, we just be laughing at all of this kinds of stuff. When it would make you mad, how would you process the emotions and how did it change over time? Solid question. It's, eventually I just started getting used to it. Then I started to see the impact that it actually had on me, which was like very minimal. That's why they say, like, sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. It's funny because it's like, oh, but words hurt a lot. Yeah, but they don't actually. They don't. If your nervous system is resilient, anybody can say anything to you and it doesn't hurt you. What's important is that for the people that are actually important in your life, that those words have impact. Like if your best friend comes to you and tells you, "Hey bro, you're fucking up." And regardless of how they say it, like my best friend or my brother could come to me and just like heated as hell, be really upset with me. My initial response would be like, whoa, 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 what's going on? I didn't do anything wrong, but I'm not going to act from that place. I'm going to take it. I'm going to receive it. I'm going to be like, okay, what is this stirring up in me? And I'm going to respond when I'm not emotional about that. Because if somebody that doesn't matter, like a random stranger, calls you anything or says anything and calls you out, and you posture up and you have to like defend your honor from some nobody, it's like, you don't actually even have honor. And probably the people that are in your life that actually can give you some really good feedback, you're probably not listening to those people. So, anyway, I only eat when my body asks for it since I'm taking care of this avatar. Yes, that's exactly it. Thanks, Marco. I like the number dichotomy that you were talking about just now and in post. Right. And again, this is what spiritual systems are here to lead us to. Teachers don't lead you to enlightenment. Gurus don't teach you how to become enlightened. You say, oh, you're searching for enlightenment. Go sit down by the river and listen to the monkeys. They'll tell you. They'll tell you. And 15 weeks later, you come back and you're like, these monkeys don't know damn thing about enlightenment. And then the guru just laughs in your face. Because he's like, bro, what are you fucking searching for? You spent 15 weeks by a river and now you came back more pissed? Go back. You obviously didn't hear the monkey's message. And you're like, oh, the monkeys have a message? What does it mean when all zones are lit? So if you're fully defined in human design, so I'm going to take this off now. That was fun, but I'm starting to get really hot. The tea that I'm drinking is pu'er. It's raw pu'er. So it's not the stuff that I usually drink. But if all of your centers are defined, by the way, you'll have activations. If you go on my website and generate a body graph, you can figure out what yours looks like. It's free, by the way. I do sell reports, which are really helpful. But the thing that I really would like you guys to do is come join the archive. Come join the archive because I want to make this more than just like a game of hopscotch for you. And yes, all of that is in my link, reikimarco.com. So when it comes to having centers defined based on your placements, you're going to have these channels connecting these centers. When they're connected, two centers are connected. Those are called defined centers. Essentially, it's like right hand and left hand can leverage against each other. Oh, the head and the ajna can now leverage against it. There's an open channel that is going to be consistently open, meaning that you're going to have some level of consistency. Like if you could imagine waking up in a different place every day, how disorienting that would be for a little bit, but then eventually you would realize like, oh, I wake up in a different place every day. Like when you go to sleep, you wake up in a dream, it's not always the same dream. You may not remember the dreams. But if you wake up in a different place every day or every year you move, right? Eventually you become accustomed to that. That's how undefined centers work. Defined centers is like you wake up in the same place every day. You wake up with a relatively consistent amount of energy. Reminds me of Kabbalah, also gives me Kundalini. So this is directly based off the I Ching, the chakra system, the Kabbalah, and astrology. This system, human design. It was channeled in the 80s and it was brought through sort of against the will of the man who was channeling it, and it has proven to be, in my opinion, out of all my like soul searching and spiritual searching, it has proven to be one of the most incredibly precise systems. And it's very similar to tantra in the way that it's like tantra is probably the fastest path to enlightenment because of the level of ecstasy and surrender that you can experience in your body and sensation. But it's also a super quick path to, it's a double-edged sword. Very easy to lose yourself in all of that sensation. And it can become hedonistic, which is like pleasure seeking, which is very important to recognize because the type of pleasure that human design offers us is not a physical pleasure, really. It's a mental kind of like, yes, that's why I know why now. That's what human design does for the mind. But unless that translates into, I feel what that's doing to me, right? Like people talk all the time, like, how do I avoid people absorbing other people's emotions? And they're like, oh, I get why I'm absorbing other people's emotions. But do you feel what the impact is? Because if you can't feel what the impact is and you just know, you're still numb below the neck. You still can't process your own emotions because other people's emotions are getting convoluted with your own. Like a Kundalini casualty, they want to stay in the the bliss. Yeah. Is that a term? The Kundalini casualty? Oh my God. So that's funny because it's like, again, everyone is obsessed with this rising serpent energy. And if you look at Kundalini yoga, etc., there is a big emphasis on going up. Up, 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 up. Up, 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 up. Guys, we can move down. We can move side, left, front, and back. Like, this is why we have 9 centers in the body graph as opposed to 7. Does my HD explain why a lot of my favorite foods don't make me feel good after the fact? And in conjunction with that, my moral compass would like to be a vegetarian, but meat tastes really great. I also don't want to be overly controlling about what I eat. This could just be gate 21 active right now in the transits, Roberta. But remind me, what is your determination? And tell me your profile as well, if you don't mind. Kundalini casualty though? Oh my God. That is hilarious. I love that term. The Kundalini casualty. You want to stay in the bliss. Yeah, and again, it's like staying in the body without the mind is not the answer. Staying in the mind without the body is also not the answer. We've got to let go of needing the answer and start to pay attention to like what's actually happening. Truth. We got to let go of the answer so that we can experience the truth physically in our bodies. Hot thirst. Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. So Roberta, and this is an answer that I'm like, you're probably not gonna like this, but it's like when you start doing human design, one of the things that you start to realize is that you've been conditioned to like certain foods and that your body doesn't actually even like them, and your mind will struggle with that because you have memories associated with people making foods, etc. Like there's a lot of weight in food, um, you know. But at the time, not saying that your digestion at the time was like, oh, we don't like this. At the time, it might have enjoyed that. But as you've gotten older, as you've solidified more of your conditioning, what I'm saying is that there's this unraveling happening of what you think is actually your favorite and what makes something your favorite. And that would be one of the things that I would anytime that a food of your like one of your favorite foods starts to cause you some like trouble, I would go into some kind of meditation. And I actually did this the other day because I had a bunch of pizza. Um, my stomach was like hurting, and I was like, "Oh, what is this? What is this?" Like I'm usually fine with pizza. I'm usually totally fine with pizza. And I was just like listening, and I tuned in, and I dropped to my knees to just like tune in. That's kind of like my Seiza, is just drop in the knees and just drop in, make myself real heavy, get into my body. And I was like, what is going on with my body? And My body just like wanted to like dig. And so I grabbed my pickaxe and I started digging. And then like 15 minutes later, the food stopped. Yep, you're on point. It's that I honor ancestors with my foods. Right. And it's not that you can't still honor your ancestors with your foods. Just recognize that your ancestors gave birth to you not so that you could live in the shadow of their traditions, but so that you can bring their traditions into the future. Like make the food healthy for you, make it so that your digestion, and experiment with like blending up your foods, which I don't know what kind of foods are your favorite. Some of your favorite foods, Roberta? Let me know. And what are some of the side effects that you're experiencing, if you feel like sharing, because I'm going to read them aloud. Anyway, I've also got hot thirst determination, and I was at my least healthy when I was vegan. Yeah, I reintroduced meat. My health immediately improved. Yeah, a lot of people are experiencing that, and it's not that like meat is better for you than vegetables or anything like that. It has to do with the way that our senses and smells and like we each have a certain mechanic. And if you're a hot thirst person, um, it's transformation. It's like unless you're working with the food and transforming the food from, vegetables into a thing. Like if you go to vegan, this is probably one of the big reasons. If you just go to a vegan restaurant or get that fake meat, you're not involved, especially if you're hot thirst or cold thirst, you're not involved in transforming the food itself. That's why. That's why you're not healthy. It's because you can't tell if this is something you should eat because you're not transforming it. It's just being served to you. This is where people will eat against their determination, because determination is not only like the state that you want to eat in, it's also the mechanics of it. And when it comes to liquids, it's like if you want to make juice, you have to squeeze oranges. So, okay, if you want to drink juice, right, instead of just drinking juice, maybe this juice always makes your stomach hurt. Pretend to squeeze the fruit yourself or milk the cow. There's these ancient mechanics that are very, very simple. Very, very simple, but we get things convoluted because, again, we're paying attention to the external authority. Well, this guy's got a 2 million followers and he says this is healthy and this is not healthy. Fuck that guy. Your stomach probably knows better than that guy. And if it doesn't, it'll learn quick. You know what I'm saying? 6'2" cold thirst. I've always done intermittent fasting, decided to experiment more and more, and do longer. I also recommend, and they say, again, if you have 1, 2, and 3, not supposed to be fasting. If you have 4, 5, 6, you are supposed to be fasting. A lot of people have a mix of the two. Experiment. What happens? Like for me, when I fast, I'm working on like seventh gear. I wouldn't say seventh gear. I would say third gear. But eventually I run out of steam and then I get small, like Luffy. When I'm eating more regularly, and if I eat too much, I get really like lazy and relaxed. So now I have this sort of baseline of like, oh, if I want to relax, I'm gonna eat a lot. If I want to be on like laser focus mode, I'm not gonna eat. And I don't usually eat in the mornings. I just slam tea. So I was into eat for your blood type, which is sort of a based on one's ancestors ate. Yep. That to a degree does it. I do resonate with eat for your blood type said, but the memories of my grandparents from other countries like spicy Mexican food and Italian meatballs have good memories. I'm telling you, man, it's like the mind and body connection. Science is going to start to discover some things that are going to floor people. And for those of you that are kind of like in this sort of fringe membership with us, the archive, we're already working on this. We're already working on this in the archive. Tapping into my closed taste is helping me understand my splenic definition. Exactly. Because this is it. Determination is not just what you eat. Determination is also the information you absorb. That process is called afferent feedback. Afferent feedback is everything you see, smell, taste, put in your mouth, going into your body. Your body then responds with efferent feedback. Cause, afferent, effect. Efferent. Most people focus on why is this happening? Blah, blah, blah. And they're not looking at how they're getting it into their system or what blocks are in the way. For instance, everybody turn your head to the left as far as you can, puff your cheeks out, and then swallow. Okay, great. For how many of you was that really hard or challenging, or you felt blocks, or maybe you couldn't even do it? Some of you, maybe that was really easy. Check on the right side. Let me know. I cut out coffee and switched to hot tea with lemon with fruit for breakfast. Okay, this is all about experimenting, guys. But if you're trying to keep track of your experiments with your mind, you're missing out. You're missing out because your body can actually keep track of these experiments. You might have to do the experiment or learn the same result multiple times, but if you let your body keep score and you trust your body, eventually you don't have to like log it down. You know what I mean? I'm a 2-5 reflector. Can you explain determination, alternating appetite? Yeah. Eat what tastes good. Simple foods. Couldn't do it. Astrofaro. Anyone else couldn't do the turning your head to the side and swallow? If you can't do that, spend 2 weeks with us in the archive. You'll be able to do it. And that will translate not only in just to your physical ability to do it, but also certain behaviors. You'll be able to swallow things that used to be too big for you to swallow. But alternating appetite, my reflector friend, it's literally about eating like mono fooding. So this is the experiment. Mindy, pick a food, right? And eat that food all day. Like rice. Just eat rice all day. And then the next day, eat vegetables all day or a certain type of vegetable. You can also do this in multiple, like if let's say you have, eggs in the morning, and then for your afternoon meal, you have some rice, and then for your last meal, you have a piece of meat. But experiment with alternating between meals and keep the food as simple as possible. Yeah, one piece is the best, Steven. I can't believe in I can believe in some concepts in HD, but some of them are way too out there for me. Is it okay to believe parts of HD but reject other parts? What position does that put me in? Ritz, I totally feel you on that. For the parts that you don't resonate with, let me know what they are in the chat here, and I'll give you some experiments so you can see for yourself. Because here's the thing about it, I don't believe anything. I want to believe things, but I genuinely, like, I don't know it until I know it. Like, I have to see it for myself. And I've watched how much better my life gets when I am congruent with my circuitry, and I don't put too much pressure on myself to be the things that I don't have in my chart. But there are some things that can be really heady, like low sound. I have low sound determination, but I eat at concerts just fine. So what is that? Maybe that's too far out for me. But then I sit down and actually, if I'm in a quiet enough place to like hear the sounds, I can hear my stomach. I can hear my throat and my chest and how it moves past my body. And that there's a lot more sensation in that. And that doesn't mean that I'm always going to be eating that way or I'm never going to eat in high sound environments. It just means that that is something that I've proven with my own experience to be something very real for me. So I am new to this human design universe and it's fascinating. It's very complex, but I am hopeful I will get it. Yeah, so the mental of human design is insanely complex. It'll drive you insane, which is why we created the membership, the archive. The archive is a place where you can go to rather than like run your mind and like try and get to a place where you understand human design, you can immediately start to build out embodiment without knowing anything about human design. It's a 7-hour course. It costs $37 a month. We have live calls every week, 2 live calls a week. We have a whole discussion platform. I have a separate stream that I do that if you're in here asking questions, like you can basically get readings from me 3 times a week as long as you tune in and ask the right questions. But I love it because for a while, archive members will ask questions. I'll tell them where to look, and then they start figuring out for themselves where to look. I'm weaning people off of the external authority. You're welcome. Here you go. Come join the archive. It's nice in here. So an example is the prediction that rave babies will start appearing after 2027. Right. So it's like everyone believes that. No one knows that. Not everyone believes that. Anyone that says they know what's coming, full of shit. I don't know what's coming. How could I know what's coming? How could I claim to know what's coming? You know how insane that sounds? I know for myself what's coming. I'm not going to try and tell you guys what's coming. This is what people believe is coming. We don't have the proof yet. But people believe that in 2027, these beings called rave children are going to start to be born. And these are beings with solar plexus that have gone through this mutation that effectively doesn't make them react emotionally, or it makes them essentially deaf to anything that's not true, or it makes them appear mentally disabled. And there are only a handful of people in the world that they'll actually want to connect with. They're just going to be very like purposeful and very individual. And yeah, people say that they know that this is coming. But the reality is, if you could feel what's coming in your body, is different than knowing it from the mind. Like walking on the road and being able to smell a storm coming is different than pulling out your phone and using a weather tracking app. Having actual telepathy and building your brain and your body out so that you can actually read people's thoughts rather than putting a chip in your brain. See what's happening here? You guys see what's happening here? 2027 is going to mark, something is going to happen. This is the storm that I smell coming. Something is going to happen in 2027 that's going to make outsourcing your senses super logical. Like it's going to be like, oh, it would be dumb not to get a computer chip in your brain because you don't even have to put it in your brain anymore. You could just stick this dot on your forehead and you can read people's minds and access the internet. I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but I believe something is going to happen in 2027 that there's going to be this new breed of human being, not being born, but being forged out of the stress of that is going to develop those kinds of powers without needing the chip or the technology. And I'm here as like, I don't know anyone else is doing this. I wish I did because it's kind of lonely at times. That's why I created an archive so people can come hang out with me. We can talk about this kind of stuff. Like I genuinely feel this storm coming. It's already here. AI is ripping off Studio Ghibli art. What is that about? Well, for some people, they're going to focus on the travesties, the tragedy, but other people are going to focus on, and this is something that I wanted to talk about this earlier in the live. I guess I'll talk about it now. Bingo. One of the most exciting things about AI is that it's making the like crude video type stuff that's like really authentic and unedited and not optimized and all this. It's bringing that back because when you see something super polished and you see like two guys with the same video and the same captions and the same script, it's like, oh my god, it's robots selling to robots. This is stupid. You guys feel that, right? And so if you see what is happening and you see the impact of what's happening, which is attention is no longer, or really it's evolving quickly. It doesn't, like, I don't want to buy from a robot. I don't want to buy from somebody who scripted something out and it feels like not personal. And it doesn't mean that all AI stuff is going to do that, but there's going to be people who outsource to AI, to technology, and they leave behind their bodies. They leave behind the incredibly advanced technology that we have in our body. And we out here. Some people think Earth is a rock. Some people think it's a conscious being, not human, but a being. What does human design say? So, human design says that our entire experience of reality and the universe is essentially an unborn God, which is really freaking cool, in my opinion. Something else that I forget your name. Let me scroll. Ritz, you might find that's pretty far out, is the concept of godheads in human design, which is if you look at the personality sun gate, and then you look up, you Google Godhead human design, you'll find the Rave Mandala, and if you find that number, for me it's 22. It's in the quarter of initiation, and it's Mithra. You'll find a god that's associated with your personality crystal, or in other words, probably the most impactful placement in your human design body graph, your personality sun. When you find that, essentially what you can do is you can start to track the fragmented nature of your mind. It's like if you could imagine a crystal shard that was shattered from the original, and you just have a piece of that shard. That shard is trying to reunite with the whole, but until you pass away, until you're no longer alive, that crystal is in your body. So it's kind of like in the example of, your body is a vehicle and your mind is a passenger. Your body is a vehicle, and your goal as the driver of the vehicle is to get the passenger safely back home. And it's like a lot of people will be like, "Oh, this is so terrible. Like, I don't want to be here." They're feeling disembodied, they're disconnected from their vehicle. It's just because you're looking out the window so much. And you're not enjoying the ride looking out the window. You're comparing like, "Oh, I want to be home. I want to be home." And this is what I believe the mind is here to do. All of these unborn God, it's like the cells waking up and realizing, God, we're in a human being. Oh my God. God being the beach and each person is a grain of sand. Yeah, that's cool. I love that. It's because we're all God just living amongst each other, if it makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. Martinia, hello. I am a 1-3 manifester with only 2 centers defined, throat and solar plexus, and I lost my voice for 4 days, and it hurt so bad for more than 10 days, and still none of the medicine can help me. Oh, I'm really not sure how to respond to that. Oftentimes, do you have the 1222 channel? Sorry, I just heard my horses bumping into stuff. Isn't watching vibes the best? watching, watching the views the best? Are you talking about vibes or the views? Because I'm down. 1222. Okay, Martinia. So one of the things that's coming up energetically, like physically, it could be a virus or something like that. But oftentimes, viruses and immunity are linked to some sort of uh, energetic thing, right? With the 1222 channel, this is kind of what I was suspicious of, is melancholy. Like, what is your relationship with melancholy? Investigating melancholy is one of the things that I feel like a lot of manifestors, a lot of emotional authority people don't necessarily know how to do or what to do. Um, Part of melancholy is being alone. One of my suspicions is that, the sickness, your immune system is fighting something so that you can like be alone in it. This is just my intuition is what I'm saying. And tuning into the pain of it and seeing where it wants to go, because there's this experience in when we're doing sensory design drills where we'll be doing an exercise like the tongue circles, right? And you do that long enough and your tongue literally feels like it's on fire. And one of the things that you can do with that sensation is push the sensation into your jaw, push it down into your neck, drive it up into the face. And so, Martinia, one of the things that I would say is in your aloneness, and when you feel the sensation and when you feel the pain, see if you can't use other parts of your body to like pull the pain out of your throat and pull it into your chest, pull it down into your body. Because again, pain and pleasure, they operate using the same neurons. That's why it's like sometimes people, when they're being tickled, they feel pain. It's because it's all the same neural pathways. It's just the mind's story about what does this sensation mean. A lot of people would look at that and be like, oh my God, there's something wrong with me. My throat doesn't work anymore. Maybe your throat shut off because you just need to shut up and be alone for a little bit. Maybe your throat shut off because maybe you need to speak up more and you don't learn the value of something until it's taken away from you. So these are all my thoughts. That channel 1222 is very much so about openness, knowing when to be open, knowing when to be more cautious. And again, it learns that by, especially being a 1-3, you put your foot in your mouth. or you say the wrong thing at the wrong time, or you just do something for attention, or you're in an emotional wave, and instead of informing someone saying, hey, I'm in an emotional wave, you try and inform them about everything that's going on in your emotional wave, right? Or you suppress it and say, no, I'm not in an emotional wave, I'm fine, I'm good, everything's good, and you're lying. So anyway, Martinia, let me know if any of these things are hitting. I definitely would not say um, forego Western medicine and like use this as medical advice, but it definitely is something to reflect on in terms of, hey, if none of the medicines are working, what about this? What about the melancholy? What about the throat and the solar plexus? What about diabetes? This is interesting. This is a whole field of study that I'm not necessarily super versed in. I'm definitely going to get my partner Pasha up in one of these lives, and we'll have like a more physiological debate because he's got a whole freaking library of information in his head. So much fascinating information. I'm obviously still trying to understand what it is to be a projector with emotional authority split definition 2.5 Hermit Heretic. Going to review your videos. Yes, do that. I would also say again, come join the archive. Like, you can watch my videos all day, you can learn everything about your human design, but until you actually physically embody it, there's always going to be something missing. You'll never have enough information. Things will still be confusing, you'll still have doubt, life will still be challenging to navigate. So if you really want to learn this stuff, come join the archive. And it's actually cheaper than, like, you can get a month membership for 37 bucks. It's $2 more than my highest paid report. All of my stuff is super affordable, by the way, because when I started doing this work, I was broke. I was broke. I was a college dropout and I was broke. I literally had to like beg my mom, and then sometimes she would just be like, "No, we don't have the money. We're poor." And I'm like, so I would have to go out and do like weird jobs, like landscaping and just weird stuff. But I did it. I did it because it was worth it, and I really, really wanted it. And it was my Reiki training that I was paying for. Yep, anxiety and excitement are received the same in the body. Maybe react is a better word than receive. Could be, yeah. I also do my best to make great videos. Like, I recognize I'm just baiting you guys. I'm baiting you guys to come see for yourself. That's what I'm doing. All the videos and all the information I'm sharing, like if I didn't have to share that and people just came into the archive just of their own accord, that would be great. That would be great because the information that I'm sharing, while it is helpful, like it's not the sustenance. It's not, you don't know how to fish. I haven't taught you how to fish. I've just given you a fish. I want you to learn how to fish. The way that you learn how to fish with human design is through the archive. What's a good place to start? So again, like I said, I have a membership. It's called the Archive. There are 7 videos that will teach you about the head and ajna, the throat, the G center, the heart, not from a human design point of view, from a human view. How do you experience inspiration and mental processing? Like, what is the sensation associated with that? You learn how to interact with your body, which is something that, in my opinion, should be taught in all schools across the world. This should be taught. Not because we want people to believe in something, because we want people to not be so disconnected from their bodies that they're just going to let some dictator or some narcissist or anyone tell them how to live their lives. It's interesting that you are speaking on anxiety being in the mind, which I completely resonate with. As an energy reader, I see the energy leaving the solar plexus. Is there a link in HD? So as an energy reader, I see it as energy leaving the solar. So okay, so what you're talking about, this is great. I love it. Ajna, mind is up here. Solar plexus, emotion is down here. What a lot of people try to do is they try and take the energy that's in here and they try and process it up in their mind. This is where you get people that are word vomiting their ideas because they're trying to conceptualize it. rather than properly cooking their emotions. And as an energy reader, one thing that you hopefully are attempting to do with your people is to let them know, hey, look, it doesn't need to make sense. Just like feel the feelings. Is that what you mean? Anxiety is energy leaving the solar plexus. Right. So like what I just said. When the energy from the solar plexus that's supposed to be processed in the solar plexus before it's manifested in the throat is attempting to go up to the head, that could be what it is. Really what it is the mind wants to solve a problem. And instead of being given a problem that it can solve, it's given your emotions. Anxiety is the mind wanting to solve a problem. But instead of being able to solve a problem in the external world, it tries to solve your emotions like there's some kind of problem. And now you have a problem because you brought a knife to a gunfight. Yes, I see it as energy leaving the solar plexus. Thank you. Interesting. Love that. You're welcome. Because anxiety, it's like, so in human design, right, we've got three different awareness centers. We've got spleen, which is awareness of survival, health, not health, safety, not safety. Ajna, which is mental awareness, it's external awareness, it's certainty, not certainty, valid, not valid, logical, not logical, stimulating, not stimulating, mentally. Okay. Solar plexus is like everything else. Solar plexus is like truth, not truth, overwhelmed, not overwhelmed, right? Bus, yes, definitely bus. The spleen uses fear to show us what's dangerous. The mind uses anxiety to help us achieve certainty. The solar plexus uses overwhelm and emotion and nervousness to show us the truth. At least the truth of what we're actually feeling. One of the most important things for everyone to recognize is that whether your solar plexus is defined or not, you have to move through emotional waves gracefully, roughly. There's no way to not move through emotional waves. It's like when you get hit with an emotion, you can suppress it for many, many years. Or you can move through a 15-minute emotional wave, cry your ass off, look like a little bit of a dork and a weirdo and a unreasonable, illogical human being. And eventually those people who are judging you stop being a part of your life, and eventually you find people that relate to you and that actually have empathy for you, that actually not can validate your emotions, but can help you actually move through your emotions, even if it's rough. Eventually you get graceful at moving through the emotions. It still doesn't look pretty. But what happens when you don't suppress your emotions is that you actually start to find people that see the real you and that like the real you. When you suppress your emotions, you make it very easy for yourself to be surrounded by pretenders. The most dangerous thing that you can do with your emotions is lie to yourself about them to save face for somebody else. It's the most dangerous thing you can do because you might end up working a job that you hate until you die because you decided to keep your emotions. Now, there's also the opposite of that, which is people who just live based off emotional authority. And they say, you made me feel this way, and so you're a bad person. And they have a lot of influence, so they get a bunch of other people to say you're a bad person. Right? That's not the way either. It's about the harmony between your internal world, what you're experiencing, and the external world. If it's not harmonious, you can blame yourself, you can blame the environment, but that at the end of the day, you're not a tree. You can just get up and walk out. Yes, I got many chickens out here. So just went and found out my godhead is Lakshmi. Interesting. Yeah, Ritz. So again, a part of so much of this stuff in human design is like it tickles the mind. It's fun, it's engaging. But again, where one tickles the mind, I'm wondering, is this just a mental tickle or is there something more? Is there a substance to it? And that's where we go. That's where we go to the substance. I experience a lot of emotions, but they pass. So I don't think they they are mine. Is there a collective consciousness in HD or thought forms? What I'm referring to is not owned by one person. Totally, there's collective themes. There's tribal themes. There's individual themes. Uh, regarding emotions that pass through us gracefully. Yes, they can be labeled as like belonging to other people, but at the end of the day, it's like, again, the mind is tickled by that. And maybe the ego likes that of like, oh, that's not my emotion. I'm literally looking in my own life to like take accountability for things that are literally not mine. Like, how did I manifest this narcissistic psycho manifester that lies about his birthday into my life? Ah, okay. Where am I narcissistic? Where am I lying about things? Where, okay, great. Once I get clear on those things, then I can get beneath my projection of this person and just recognize, like, oh, where is he scared of revealing himself? Where is he scared of doing the things that he knows that he knows what he needs to do? And maybe this interaction is him doing that. Ah, great. Right? Like, I'm always looking to figure out where I'm the villain in my story. That is usually me trying to figure out how I'm the hero. Humming dove came back to my sounds. Are you making sounds and your animals are responding? You're like a real live Snow White, not a live action Snow White though, because apparently that's not doing very well. Um, yeah, yeah, we love these connections, and we fear most our light, right? Because as you get closer to the light, the bigger your shadow gets. I learned that one from Kingdom Hearts. I learned that one from a video game. The closer you get to the light, the larger your shadow becomes. Everyone's out here trying to like transmute their shadows. It's like, bruh, stop trying to transmute your shadows. Just like watch them first. Watch them and see what they do. Because a lot of your shadows, people are like, oh, a shadow is destroying my life. It's like, not really, not really. It's not your shadow that's destroying your life. It's the fact that you don't know what your shadow freaking is because you're too afraid to look at it. Because when you look at it, you freak out, you over identify with it. Your mind says, no, 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 pushes it away. That's not me. Try to run away, or you collapse under it. Oh, I'm all that. So if you're looking at your shadow and you're collapsing under the weight of your shadow, or you're trying to run away, that's your first work. That's your first work, is to figure out how to be able to look at your shadow. Look at how you're the bad guy in the situation without collapsing under it, running away from it. That's it. That's the first line of work for a lot of people. And again, litmus test. If there's any challenges or any strains with it, looking at your shadow can literally just be 15 minutes a day of, man, I really don't want to do this. And it's more than just like running into uncomfortability. It's literally building out your nervous system. I'm afraid to shine in public or even alone. Yeah. And some people might say, oh, start doing it alone and then do it in public because that seems easier. What I would say is figure out where in your neurology you have a problem. Again, figure out where the lamp is unplugged. A lot of it's probably in the neck. Get your throat vacuums. Get your throat. Do you guys see my throat? Check this out. Do that. Get good at doing that. You're not going to care as much. There is class today, Stephen. The Kingdom Hearts reference. Joy. So much joy from you, Joy. Fantastically helpful. Side note, is that a rainbow reflection or a sticker on your window? Huh? Oh. that wait, where is it? So I have a 2-year-old and she loves water, and so we got her one of these like giant inflatable rainbows for her birthday last year. and you put the hose in it, and then it just it like squirts out water, and she loves it. And I don't think I've actually seen her that happy before. And it was so good. Anyway, so much joy. So yeah, it's an actual rainbow that's out there. Speaking of rainbows, I gotta pee. If you guys are enjoying this, please do me a favor, like, share, blow this up, share this with as many people as possible. Please, I want this message to get out to people. You have an inner authority. It's not as deep as you think. It's not as hard to access as you think, but it is there. And if you do a little bit of work, you can access it, and life can just become yours again. Um, yeah, I'll be back. I'm gonna go pee. Share the live. Thank you guys. Bye bye. Oh man. Okay, no. I thought I had my reverb on. Check this out, guys. What do you think about this? TikTok people, you're not going to be able to hear this, but other everyone else will. Reverb. Okay, I'm going to turn it off. Um, I'm a closet music producer. I'm a closet musician. Not that I'm afraid of performing. I'm busy with other things right now, like this kind of stuff. Once we hit 1,000 members in the archive, I'll release an album. Got a lot of music. I just haven't shared it yet. I don't feel the pressure to share it. Like I love making music. I love making music. Making music is so much fun. I love singing. I love the feeling of singing. One of the things, probably one of my recent favorite realizations about singing is that I like singing more than I like recording my songs, or anything. And I like it more than being heard too. Like I like actually I like the sensation of singing. And there's certain parts of myself that won't go like as far deep if I'm being watched. Like there's times when I'm singing that I'm like literally just singing, and then I'm just like, oh, I hear that, and I'll start crying and attempting to sing through the tears. And that is the coolest thing ever. Rosie K, sing something. I don't really want to sing something right now, but I just I just figured I'd share about it. Let's see. What does HD say about having babies? Like, is it good to create more beings with inner authorities, human or non-human? Human or non-human? Um, Human design has a lot to say about babies and parenting, for that matter. Um, one of the common things that gets said about human design and babies is that projectors are not supposed to have children. Which, the reason I'm sharing that is because I don't want you to be limited by that. Ra says that within a context of projectors are not supposed to have children because today's familial structures put way too much pressure on single families, and it was never meant. Human beings never thrived that way. We've never been successful at that. The best way to raise children is through tribal familial connections, having grandma and grandpa around, having auntie and uncles around, etc. What is crossing the windows? Oh, that's a horse. Technically, there's two horses. Same goes for reflectors. Yeah, exactly. Manifestors as well, but projectors are probably they're labeled as like the most sensitive because the nature of a projector is just so penetrating, right? Like as a manifestor and a reflector, we can kind of like there's this sort of like block, like we can sort of numb out, or projectors can numb out too, but we can have a sort of like resistance to people. Projectors, it's very much so like if you're in my field, I'm feeling you, and if I don't know how to fortify my energy, then I'm gonna like absorb a bunch of your energy. That explains it. My mom is a projector, my brother and all myself. I also have a projector kid. Yeah, so it's like projectors have been labeled as like the people that are here to help guide humanity, to help clear the karma that's been created. And having children creates karma naturally. You're bringing a being into this world. There's a lot of energies, a lot of ripples in the pond. Um, and so when it comes to raising children, my policy is don't use human design to not fuck your kids up. Use human design to take accountability for the way that you're fucking your kids up. You're not going to not condition them. I'll say that again. As a parent using human design, you cannot not condition your children. It's going to happen. What you ought to be doing is using human design to have a mental perspective of, hey, this is how I'm conditioning them. And then you ought to come into the archive and do sensory design so you can actually hold your own frustration and anger and disappointment and whatever it is that you would project onto your children. Hold that in yourself so that it doesn't get projected onto your children. But the idea that you're going to not condition your kids because you learn about human design, ridiculous. Sometimes people that know about human design will think that, oh, I'm such a good parent because I learned human design. It's like, dude, human design and your nervous system are different things. You have to harmonize both of them. Your mind and your body, like, they're different things. You have to harmonize both of them. On the topic of human design, I see that my type is a man gen. 1-4, strategy to respond. But I have no clue what that means. Hearing terms like projector or reflector, etc. Got you. Okay, so man gens, you're here to and your way through life. Human design gives us what's called an inner authority. We use that inner authority to contrast the external authority. External authority says everyone go left. Inner authority goes, You start going right, and it's like, oh. So now there's a confliction between the inner authority and external authority. Sensory design, which is what we teach in the archive, is how to feel safe going right when your inner authority is telling you go right when the external authority and everyone else is going left. Sensory design is going to teach you how to feel safe in going against the external authority's willpower so that you can actually get to where you want to go, not to where the external authority says you should go. So, Passion Pixel, it's going to take some time. If you want the fast track to this, come join the archive. Like, you don't need to know anything about human design to join the archive, start doing drills with us, do classes with us, start to explore your body. Because again, human design, this is like the energetic copy of your physical body and your energetic body. Your actual body is right here. Okay? This is what we got to wake up to. Everyone wants this, like, oh, what's the most optimized version of me? It's like, you're not the most optimized version of you. And you're not going to figure it out or get access to it or get the manifestations that you want from here. You got to get down through the neck into the body. So anyway, went to check in a few things on my map, feeling very confused. So I'm going to research more, watch the videos, and hopefully the next live, I can feel less of an outsider. Ibrina Raquel, come join the archive. See, confusion and doubt are normal parts of life. If you're not confused and you're not experiencing doubt, it's not that there's something wrong with you, but it's like, if you're not experiencing those two things, you're not inspired. If you're not confused, if you're not feeling doubt, if you're not desiring, you don't feel the pressure to unravel the mystery, you're not inspired. And if you're not inspired, you can only be what you are now. Confusion and doubt are not the enemy. They are the leverage points. And in the archive, we teach you how to use confusion and doubt to make yourself stronger, more robust, less reactive, less fearful. Because what happens when you're confused? Oh, I need to find an answer. I need to find an answer. Then you find an answer, and it's like, oh, now I'm confused about that answer. That's how it is with human design and trying to gain information. I'm not saying you don't gain information. What I'm saying is don't gain information without also exploring the sensation in your body, because that is an endless rabbit hole that is not fun to be in. Eventually you'll give up, or eventually you'll lose faith, or whatever. Human design might make your life a little bit better, but the confusion and doubt will still be something that you're afraid of. Come join us. Cultivate a resilience. Become resilient to confusion and doubt. I've got Gate 64 active. I'm always confused about something. Great. Hopefully, it doesn't bother you so much that you make your entire life about solving confusion, right? Right, Alex? Not to call you out, friend. And again, the map is wonderful. But it's like imagine like you're a pirate back in the day. And you're like, I'm gonna go on this adventure. My grandfather gave me a map and I'm gonna find the treasure. But the treasure is on another island. And so you say, okay, I'm gonna study this map and I'm gonna study it and I'm gonna find that treasure. But the map is on another island. And you say, I'm just gonna look at this map and I'm gonna talk to people about this map and I'm gonna see who's been there and be like, have you seen this treasure? But the fucking treasure is on another fucking island. You need a ship, you need a crew, you need to learn how to sail the ship. You can't just spend all of your time reading the map. You have to set sail and go on the adventure. I've always been very curious and definitely feel like the characteristics of a projector fit me like a glove, but there is so much to learn still, like everything in life, right? The goal is not to learn everything in life. The goal is to get really good at learning and get so good at learning that you can unlearn things and relearn things. That's the magic of learning. Because depending on what configuration you have or what conditioning you have, and everyone has conditioning. When we talk about deconditioning, we're not talking about wiping the slate clean. We're talking about replacing it with something else. And you see this in nature a lot. If I clear a field of grass, you know what's going to happen? Something is going to grow there. It might be grass. If I don't plant anything else, it's for sure going to be grass. And so when we're deconditioning ourselves, we're clearing a field. When we are reconditioning ourselves, we are clearing the field and planting something else. This is what we're doing in the archive. What we're doing, we're clearing the confusion and planting, I'm okay with confusion. Or I know how to use confusion to make sense of the past. I know how to use doubt to anticipate the future. But I also know when confusion is not warranted. I also know when doubt is not warranted. And confusion about what's happening inside the body and what's happening, and doubt about what's happening inside the body is not something you can ask somebody about. No doctor can tell you really what's wrong with you. This is when they say become your own doctor, become your own healer. This is what they're actually talking about. But it's not just like sitting and pretending to be centered. It's like actually find your freaking midline, guys. Actually figure out, like if I tell you to straighten your spine, can you straighten your spine? Most people don't. They think they're straight, but they're sitting like this. I used to do a lot of men's work, and that was one of the funniest things ever. I would say, all right, guys, get centered, and guys would do this. I'm like, what are you doing? Guys, get centered. Okay, now relax. But stay centered. I say, guys, get centered. They do this. Bro, it's like the opposite of center. The treasure is inside you. Exactly, Carrie. Haha, I have issues with my emotional wave. I get triggered. Everyone gets triggered or activated by something. The goal is not to know what triggers you and avoid them at all costs. It's to know what triggers you, trigger yourself so that you're no longer triggered when you get triggered. That was like an ice cube, babe. But I wouldn't have any other way because my evolution has a human being would stop. Right. Right. There's so much I understanding the confusion and I feel definitely associated to a lack of knowledge. Yeah. Yeah, we do not want the confusion to stop. We do not want the doubt to stop. What we want to stop is that conversation with ourselves that says something is wrong with us when nothing is wrong with us. And the reason that exists is because this is how they sell you shit. By they, I mean the car dealer sells you a brand new car with a high interest loan because it's like, oh, well, what do you do for work? Oh, okay, you're a real estate agent. So when you pull up to the client, how do you want them to perceive you? Do you want them to perceive you as somebody that drives a Camry or somebody that drives a Porsche? Right, exactly. You see what I mean? They sell you, oh, this makeup makes you this very beautiful. Oh, this AI makes you appear this much smarter. Like, where are the products that are actually going to help us? You know what I mean, guys? And the reality is, it's like water, food, community. There are some things, and being overwhelmed by it. Yeah, like being overwhelmed is only a problem if you don't know how to take the feeling of overwhelm and leverage it to become whelmed. Like there were things that used to overwhelm me. Confrontation really used to overwhelm me. If there was a guy in our community and he had done something that I felt I judged needed to be called out, that was something that was so hard for me. Nowadays, I'll literally just casually be sitting with them and be like, hey, about this thing, this really didn't feel good for me. Can I talk to you about it? Yeah, okay, great. It's not a big thing for me anymore because I introduced myself to a lot of those situations over and over and over again, knowing, hey, this is going to overwhelm me. Okay, great. Are we the kind of person that shrinks when we're overwhelmed? Or do we use the overwhelm and figure out how to become stronger? So, no solar plexus definition. I've been criticized for saying I feel so much. Right. But what are you at? Like, what are you feeling? Because with an undefined solar plexus, or did you say open? Open and undefined are different, by the way. Um, you said no solar plexus difference. Okay, so that's probably open solar plexus. No activations in the solar plexus. You say, I feel a lot. I feel so much, right? If you're being criticized in that sense, it's because what you're feeling is not translating to any sort of uh, robustness or resilience. And oftentimes, probably the things that you're feeling are the unprocessed emotions of others. Oh boy, confrontation. What a crafty little rival to deal with, right? But it's like you can get really good at confronting things. Like you could. It's like how a kid, at one point, remember, you guys remember when you were a kid, and it's like you broke a vase or something like that, and you're like, oh my god, my parents' prized possession, they're gonna disown me and hate me. And then now you look back at it and it's like, oh, it's just a vase. That's how I see myself now. And this was only like 3 or 4 years ago that I used to avoid confrontation. And there's some in some instances I will still avoid confrontation, but I'm not like avoiding it. I've just recognized that like, hey, there's nothing I can do there. And I've had this situation where I've put I've confronted it multiple times, and I've realized, oh, this person isn't listening, they're not receptive. Okay, so what do I do? Not my business anymore. We're not friends anymore. Okay, how does that make me feel? That makes me sad as fuck because we spent a lot of time doing stuff together, man. And I'm doing my best to show you that I'm here and helping. I'm sorry that it's not the way that you want me to show up in your little fucking world, but I'm still here and I'm still open. So anyway, oh my gosh, confrontation is not what makes me scared. What makes me scared is complacency with something that is wrong. Truly, that is where your sense of internal authority will come online. Because the external authority says it has to look like this, right? Guys can't fight to figure out their confrontations. Like the reason why we're going to war is because the guys that are pissed off at each other are not fighting. They're not fighting. Like imagine if you had like the president of the United States fist fight the president of Ukraine and fist fight the all the Doge people. Like imagine if the people that actually had beef with each other were forced to fight each other. Imagine if we lived in that world. I resonate with Buddhism idea that pain is unavoidable in this life, but suffering is a choice. Another way of hearing that is saying it's a part of life to have problems. This is a huge relief for me because my conditional Catholic upbringing made me think problems were bad. Same. I thought that like sin was, like you're going to hell if you sin, if you break one of the commandments or stuff like that. God really messed up by that because again, a lot of these systems and institutions of control, while they are meaning to do well, the intention is not able to be held across generations. Like, for instance, if a king establishes peace through dealing with hardship, going to war, finding heroes, then his son is born into this peaceful time. If his son is not well tempered, then his son will breed and sow the seeds of war. The intention gets lost between generations. And how many generations has the Catholic Church been around? What is the original intention of the things that were written down? How have they been manipulated and construed to mean something else? It becomes a massive battle of who's right, who's wrong. What did Jesus say? What did the church say? What's in the Bible? What does everyone believe? What is the reality that we live in? People want to reference a book, and I'm like, that's all good and dandy. But if you can't sense right and wrong inside your own body, and you have to rely on a book, that's the same as being like puppeteered. I've always been the black sheep in my family slash circle, and that never bothered me, and it's something that I'm actually proud of. Great, great. You will stick out like a sore thumb if you're in not in the right environment for yourself, and that's how it's supposed to be. Like a fish out of water is flopping. It's strange. Why is it strange? Because there's no context to it. It's a stranger in a strange land. I figured out that when I split the design and the personality, I'm a reflector on both sides. Knowing this really changed my life. It was like dying and getting reborn again at the same moment. This moment, my whole life passed by my inner eye, and I understood so many situations with people about reflecting them. I'm happy you feel that way, Mia. I would avoid looking at it. Um, what is your design? Man, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna have to bring a hammer down on you like this. This is just my opinion. I don't like looking at body graphs, design side, and personality side as though they're separate. Um, it might be helpful in some contexts. But I don't look at it that way. Um, sorry. That was such like a beautiful. Not everything that you're experiencing again is the sensations of it. Keep that. Roll with it. But when it comes to the quantum field, it's like if the driver is ever outside of the car should not be moving. I don't know if that analogy makes sense. Because the job of the car is to transport the passenger. And the job of the driver is to make sure that the passenger and the vehicle are both being taken care of. So absolutely, I'm okay with that because I prefer to be like that and faithful to me and my intuition than whatever others see me and want me to be. Right. And then there's a point where you get beyond needing the resistance. So what I mean by this is like you're the black sheep and at first you don't accept yourself, but then you find it, you accept yourself and you resist the others. You say, you know what? You guys feel like I'm this way. I'm actually this way. I'm going to carve out a space for myself. And for a while, there's resistance. You use that contrast to understand who you are. But eventually, you don't need the contrast anymore. It doesn't become about showing up at family reunions in any type of. And I'm totally just projecting upon you just to kind of prove a point or speak to a point. It becomes less about you being the black sheep and more about you empathizing with the people that outcasted you without this whole like Stockholm syndrome kind of thing. So my chart says I'm a pure manifesting generator, but I feel like a projector. Yep, that's. Do energy centers change from undefined to open with time? No, they do not. Although, like I was just saying, eventually, if you have a lot of definition in your chart, eventually, like you're here to learn how to be open. You're here to learn how to be like, well, this is how I do it, but let's do it your way because we're in your house, right? Whereas somebody that has spent their entire life suppressing their voice or their G center will be like, I don't do that, man. Like, I know my way of doing it. In fact, how dare you? Like, sometimes they'll get a little aggressive with it. Like, they're trying, like, if you have to defend it, it's not strong on its own. Say it like that. If you have to defend it, it's not strong on its own. That's why a lot of people explain things because when they say something, they say, no, I don't want to do that. I've just been doing so much work. I can't come over because then I got to wake up really early tomorrow. Rather than just, no, I'm not in the mood. That's scary for a lot of people to say that. Now, confrontation, let's clear the air, or sit still, we are brought to sit down and talk about it. I would avoid it because it led to arguing, and I was one that didn't want to stay mad at others for long, right? And usually, as the bigger person, you're able to forgive, but they don't. I think looking at P and D separately helps you understand what you're consciously aware of. Yeah, again, again, I get it. There's a lot of ways to look at things with human design, and I personally don't think that a lot of people have the physical embodiment to find any real value in it. And yeah, because Ken, you also have to come back to where you're quantum, and so if you step outside and look at it like a view, great, that's a view, beautiful, take it in, be with the sensations of it, and then get back in the car and be quantum again. Yeah. So, what was the reason not to look at people's eyes? It was not to create an energetic connection. Essentially, yeah. It's like the eyes are very soft parts of the body on the face, and they actually are made of the same tissues as the brain is. I like to say that the eyes are the part of the brain that touch the air, and so connecting with someone through the eyes, it's like a very sacred thing. And if you have a very penetrating gaze versus a soft gaze, a lot of projectors are looking to penetrate because they want to show their value. They want to be invited. They want to feel included. But projectors, of course, with the penetrating aura, have to master the soft gaze. Yeah, I understood. Oh, I'm a generator 2-4, defined in the head and ajna, sacral root center defined. I understood just how my subconscious and conscious work in connection with others. Yeah, and it's like generators are some of the most empathic, reflective beings because they're constantly enveloping. Same thing as projectors. They're absorbing, right? You're pulling all this information. Again, that's called afferent feedback, getting information into your body. Your body is the processing power. That's your design that cooks it, or your conditioning and design that cook it. And then there's some kind of response, right? Which, as a sacral generator and absorbing a lot of people's, how you say, whether it's their splenic energy, whether it's their throat, whether it's their G center or their heart, being able to respond to that with your authentic that's going to be what's help you. This is why it's like it's not necessarily helpful to look at design and personality, because you might start to um, loosen up on your strategy of being a generator, believing that, oh, I'm a reflector. And again, I don't feel like that is you right now, Mia, but just as a general rule of thumb, it's like taking the bird apart so that you can figure out how it sings the song, but now you've killed the bird and it doesn't sing anymore. What gaze do you recommend for manifestors? Um, it's not like you need one or the other. It's like, for instance, sometimes you want really chill manifestation. Sometimes you want chill initiations. Sometimes you want like very pointed, very serious um, uh, initiations and informing. So the real question is like, what is it that you're initiating, and what is most appropriate? Because here's the thing: is like, for instance, most people would rather be right than happy. Like most people would rather be right about a situation than get the thing that they want in the situation. Let's say like you know, like you and your partner are trying to figure out what you guys want to eat. And your partner's like, "I want chicken." And you're like, "Oh, okay. I could do chicken." And they're like, "Ah, I want steak." And you're like, "But you just said you wanted chicken." And they're like, "Yeah, but I want steak now." And they're like, "But you did say that you wanted chicken, right?" And they're like, I don't remember." And they're like, "No, no, you said you wanted chicken." And then the whole night is ruined. You know what I mean? What is your intention? If you want something to get accomplished, don't get caught up in how it gets accomplished. Remember that you're trying to you're getting something accomplished. Love when people tell me to be more diplomatic. I am black and white, and what you see is what you get. If it's too much for you, maybe we are better apart because I'm not changing myself for you. Bingo. And that's how you find your people versus, oh yeah, we kind of get along. And not to say that everything is black and white, because it 100% is a spectrum. But your feeling about something can be far end spectrum, black or white. You're allowed to have that. And then it becomes, look, I'm super black and white, but I can get along with anyone. I can see that you're asleep and you're unconscious and you're destroying your body. I'm not going to punish you for that, bro. If you ask me about it, I'll share my thoughts on it, but I'm not here to be everyone's fucking teacher. What does HD say about where humans come from? So human life is a combination of two personality crystals and a magnetic monopole. Essentially, you've got your personality crystal, which is your personality sun, and then your design crystal, which is your design sun, and then you've got the magnetic monopole, which is the G. Effectively, human life is a compilation of all human life being coagulated successfully or unsuccessfully by way of this cycle of reincarnation through the Godheads. I'm with people all the time. Best advice for a reflector, two-way reflector, on how to know what who's mine and moving through the day. See, so I know I sound like a broken record, guys, but if you're not in the archive and you're asking questions like that, that's my answer. Come join the archive, because one of the things that infuriated me about learning that I was a reflector is that, oh, I'm going to absorb other people's emotions in my undefined centers. How am I supposed to tell? I'm very smart. I'm very smart. I created so many different kinds of, like, to the point where I was like tracking the amount of time that I was with people. Total fucking distraction. Complete distraction. I was learning people's designs. Big distractions, okay? The, the way that I became resilient was by strengthening my physical body. And now I can smell when I'm absorbing something from people. Now, when my body gets tired, it's not a, oh, I'm tired. It's a, I'm over this conversation. Now, when my throat starts to close up, I'm like, oh, it's not just like a random thing that's happening in my body. It's my body responding to the thing that's right in front of me. When your aura opens and closes to people, sometimes it's doing that based off conditioning. Sometimes you're opening to a narcissist because they remind you of your father. Sometimes you're opening to a teacher because they remind you of your ex-boyfriend, and you're going to subtly project those things on them. The way that you actually make yourself robust is by training your nervous system and your senses to detect truth, not conditioning. The only way you can do that is by actually subjecting yourself to some degree of training. So the archive is $37 a month, or 333 for the year. Which 333 for the year, like, it costs like almost like $250, over $250 to do a one-on-one session with me. If you want my advice, come join the archive, spend a year in there, and have a complete transformation. Because there's tons of little tricks and tips. You could log in your neutrino design, this and this and that. I've done that at that level with no actual relationship with my centers. Like, a lot of people don't even know, like, where's the G center? Here? Well, that's where it is on the body graph. Dude, the G center is your blood. It's your liver. A lot of people don't even know where these centers are physiologically. Again, are you studying the treasure map, or are you getting a ship and going on the adventure? Also, don't look people in the eyes. But I had to say that. Because being a people pleaser drains me and makes me miserable, and eventually manifests itself in my physical body with pain and disease. Right. And eventually, my bet is that you'll be able to reinforce your body so that you can be around people. They will want you to please them. You won't take the bait, and it won't enter into your field as some sort of detrimental force. That's my bet. Every human being, I believe, has the capacity to develop a, like, super solid level of empathy that doesn't, how you say, it doesn't degrade under certain environments. Under certain environments, everything will degrade, but most environments, it'll be fine. But again, you have to physically make that change, my friend. Attention is alignment. Exactly. What are we attending to? If we're not attending to the body, we're just attending to the mind, or we're attending to other people. Again, what is the intention? Would you rather be right, happy, or aligned? Could they all be the same thing? Sometimes. I'm also trying to look at things more objectively, as not to absorb. Yep, again, that is helpful to do that. And if your body is hot and there's all this pressure and there's all this energy moving, You have to be honest with yourself. How much can you objectively look at something when all of those sensations are happening? I swear that knowing everything about my chart only ever confused me more. Yep. Especially in the beginning because I am just relating to my body graph, not feeling it. Yep. That's right, Emily. This speaking of Emily, I think that's you. Yeah, that's you. You joined the archive like what? 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago? And I can feel what you're going through, and it's the same thing that I went through. Like I knew my body graph inside and out. I knew so much, and then I started training with Pasha. I started training in the archive, and it like completely dropped me out of here into here, and I not instantly, but the transformation is unfolding in such a wild way because it was like almost instant of doing the exercise. Whoa, I feel way more relaxed. But over time, it's like, dude, I am so much more aware of my fears. I am so much more aware of my emotions, and not from a thinky think kind of place. Just from like oh yeah, like I feel like I just ate a bunch of food when I was hanging out with this person. Now I feel really bloated, right? And it's not like oh, did I absorb their emotions? It's like I'm full. It's like eating a meal and being like, did I just eat a meal? Rather than being able to check in and feel. Somatic exercises that I suggest. Yes, exactly, Raquel. And there are a lot of different avenues to approach somatic exercise from. I don't know of anybody else that's approaching human design with somatic exercise. I don't. And I think it's probably going to become a really trendy thing, especially when people start to realize like, oh, the whole mental human design thing is just like the tip of the iceberg. Literally. Literally. When you transmute these tougher designs, is it bad to transmute if you are on a computer? When you transmute these tougher designs, is it bad to transmute if you're on a computer? I don't know what you're saying there, Raquel. Phrase it again though, because I'm all about transmutation, baby. Coming back to the archives, life got hectic. Yeah, bring it through. And so here's the thing, guys. It's like, oh, I got a pop in my hip that wants to happen so bad. Like the Dispenza way. So the Dispenza way is great. Personally, I think there's more to it than that, in my opinion. I love Joe Dispenza. I love him. And we're all us spiritual teachers or spiritual people, whatever. I genuinely believe in our hearts we all want the same thing, which is for people to be able to trust themselves and love themselves. We all have different methods of getting people there, and some methods are more effective than others. We have girls and guys posting progress pictures that I'm intentionally withholding right now. I could blast these pictures and you'd see someone go from this to this in like 90 days. And that's not just physical structural changes, that's behavioral changes. Again, you might think your problem is that you're depressed or that you're anxious or that you're bipolar or that you're neurodivergent. But reality, like your face is just not shaped the way that it was supposed to be. Like it just didn't develop because it was put in this box of energy by the church or by your parents or whoever. So yes, I joined not even 2 weeks ago, and exactly, I swear my nervous system has needed the archive movements because yes, I can tell I'm becoming sensory sensitive now, and it's way less head confusion. Yep. And then once you like have more of this physical embodiment, then looking at human design from the mental point of view, it's like a video game. It's like, oh my gosh, this is really exciting. This is cool. And it really helps us to truly what human design is here to do is help us surrender to our forms. It's here to help us accept our limitations as physical human beings. Because the mind, one of the reasons why the mind freaks out being in the body is because It's connected to like an infinite consciousness. But if the infinite consciousness cannot appropriately behave in a limited vessel, how fucking infinite is it really? How advanced is that consciousness really if it can't just live a simple human life? How infinite is it if you need to get back home? How infinite is it really? How cool is it really if it can't just be a human being for 100 years? And while it's a human being, soak up all of the sensation of it without becoming so hedonistic that you start to hurt others. Mostly, these are just symptoms. Exactly. And that's what a lot of stuff is going on, especially from the head nausea. You're chasing symptoms. Go to the root. The root. Can you sit still? How long can you sit still before you start to wiggle? Some people can't do it for like more than like 2 or 3 minutes. And they won't sit still because that, because they feel shame. I can only sit still for 2 minutes, so I must be doing it wrong. Nah, dude, do it for 2 minutes. Do it every day. Sit for 2 minutes until you're like, oh, this is kind of easy. Maybe I should sit for 3 minutes. That's the spiritual thing to actually do. Everyone thinks it's like, oh, you have to sit for 30 minutes a day. Like, cool. How many people are actually going to do that? Everyone here could wake up tomorrow and spend the next 28 days sitting still for 1 minute, turning their head to the left, puffing up their cheeks, swallowing, doing that for 2 minutes, and then just go about your day. Guarantee if you do that, it's a 3 minute morning routine. RPM, rise, piss, meditate. Sit for a minute, look to the left, puff the cheeks, swallow, look to the right, puff the cheeks, swallow. 3 minutes total. Sit in stillness. There's a minute here and a minute here. Do that every day for the next 28 days. It'll change your fucking life. No, no, no. I don't want to do. I want to find the right way to maximize my potential. Blah blah blah. It's like everyone wants to like craft expert level armor and expert level skills. It's like, dude, you have to put the basic shit on first. The basic stuff. This will change your life. Only if you let it though. Incremental advancement, exactly. The root of the root of the root is on fire. Yeah, that's what I tell myself when I play golf. Incremental advancement. That's exactly it. People will refuse to start or be unable to start because they're unable to recognize where they're physically at. And it's like, no matter how good your coach is, they can't help you if you don't want to help yourself. And so the archive is self-paced. We have a live call happening in, let me see. I'm just going to log into the archive real quick. I want to say it's happening in like an hour and a half or so. If Pasha is able to get service, he's traveling right now, so this class might not actually happen, but we'll see. Okay, anyway, 2 hours. Happening in 2-ish hours. Guys, this has been a great live. I always say this, but it's just like, I freaking love this. Because what I love about this so much, sorry if those snaps were super loud in the headphones for anyone. One of the reasons why I love this so much is because it's like, I love things that work. I love being able to confidently say, hey, yes, I've done this for myself. It works. I've done this with hundreds of people. It works. If you do it too, it'll work. And I love it. I love it, love it so much because of what I know for myself comes after the revelation. Like, oh my gosh, like I'm still confused, but I don't care as much anymore. Rather than like, oh great, I'm not confused anymore. It's I'm still confused. I just don't care as much. It doesn't prevent me from enjoying life anymore. I still have doubts, but it doesn't prevent me from walking into the future. It's because my sense of safety is not in the branch that I'm sitting on, it's in the wings that I have. The bird sitting on the branch is not safe because of the strength of the branch, but the strength of its wings. Because if the floor falls out from underneath me, I just start flapping. What's the best way to plan your week with HD? I'm not sure. I every day I do some level of sensory design. My routines last about 5 to 10 minutes. If I'm being fully transparent, 5 to 10 minutes a day, I'm doing max effort sensory design stuff in the mornings as I'm drinking tea. The routine that I gave you, that was the seed that I built my 10-15 minute routine now that has me feeling like I literally am on top of the world. There's a handful of other things as well. But the best way to plan how I show you how I do it every day after my tea in transit, I have this thing called the SAT, the Strategy and Authority Tracker. I made it a while ago. And it's a Notion template. And I look at the current transit and I literally will just like sit for like 30 seconds, a minute, contemplate it very quick. Again, a lot of my stuff is not as much mind stuff. When I am sitting in stillness, I'm not really contemplating things. I'm just sitting in stillness to see what is. When I am contemplating things, it's usually very, very quick. So I contemplate the transit, and I'll just read it for you guys right now. And in the archive, I actually create, every time there's a transit shift, I create a like reflection, a transit reflection for you to reflect on. You can think of it like an email newsletter, except way better. I'm doing this on paper, low key at the moment. Yeah, Jake, join the archive. I got the Notion template for you. If you're a geek like me and you want it, if you want to track it, because my personality variables are active left facing. But here's the line that we're in. So, the Hunter Huntress, that's gate 21, that's the sun. It says, defeat as a survivable humiliation often acceptable through the abuse of drugs and alcohol. Unless one follows one's own material path, the breaking of the ego by superiors. And total withdrawal, a lack of will for the material path in order to protect the ego. So again, either you subject your ego and subject your conditioning to stress and let it break and accept that. Like, oh, that strengthens the ego. Or you fully withdraw and you hide away to protect the ego. Now that first one isn't good, the second one isn't bad. Sometimes that subjecting your ego to destruction will destroy you. It will actually unalive you. It will put you in a very, very bad situation, objectively bad situation. And that's where that's that inflated ego. I need to prove myself. Sometimes protecting yourself and recognizing that there's something fragile here is the appropriate response. What's the best response? The most appropriate one. That's the way I see it. That's a good transit today. I love this transit, by the way, because I have a dormant 45. So my money channel is online right now. Which is just, I just love when the heart is activated. I feel so much more like I get to see myself in my value because I'm a little bit more egotistical. I'm a little bit more like I got put. There's definitely a lot more fucks in this live than when the transit is not. It's not in 21. Brother, I figured out a way to get into the archive when it's glitching. If you switch from community to learning, then click on notifications and the arrow back, you'll be at the homepage. Freaking awesome, dude. Share if you could share that in the archive in the technical difficulties, please, my lord. Ooh, that resonated. Hmm. That's that emoji right there. One thing that's gonna freak people out, and I just posted a video on this with Pasha. Beware of the fake smile. We've been taught our entire lives that we're supposed to smile with our eyes. But check this out. What is the universal sign of pain? Ooh. If you watch a kid smile, this is how they smile. It's ear to ear. It's ear to ear. The reason why, pain and the is a fake smile is because if something is causing you to smile, it's bringing joy to your life, why would you want to close your eyes off to it? At some point, all of us kids got made fun of for being like too excited about something. Why are you excited about that? That's lame. Like Tamagotchis are lame, bro. Like, oh, I'm not allowed to be excited. So and so's not letting me be excited. Now Pokemon is cool. Oh, cool. Okay. Uh, uh. And people will say will take all kinds of medications because they don't feel like they're able to experience joy, or they're numbed out or something. It's your face, man. It's your face. Don't take any experimental medications until you fix your face. You know the people that what is it called? Resting bitch face? Resting bitch face isn't scary. It means that you're scared. You have to defend yourself from everything. And that maybe you're not worth defending, which is why men are always letting you down. What is resting bitch face? This is a wacky question, just before that. How would you compare or relate HD to the Matrix? Oh my God, that is like a whole podcast that I got to do, Roberta. Um, Incredible analogies, endless analogies that I could go off on. Human design is so much like the Matrix because, in many ways, the way, like the nature of our interactions with each other are pre-programmed, right? Like if you go into a library and you start yelling, someone comes up immediately and says, oh, shh, shh, shh. If you go to a concert and you start taking a nap, people wake you up, be like, dude, what are you doing? You're going to get hurt. And so all of these social norms that are composed of tribes coming together, tribes are small groups of individuals that have shared values and traditions, etc. We're building a matrix, but we're not building it consciously. All of us individuals are just looking for ways to be individuals, survive by using the tribe, and then we all get put together in these collective containers like concerts and libraries and universities and hospitals and armies, etc. And so we are like it's like we're all building the matrix together, but we don't know what part we're really working on. Does that make sense? Even chaos mathematically has a pattern. Yep. It's woven, chaotically predicted. Right, and chaos for a lot of us. Like the moon seems very chaotic until you start to attune to her rhythm, which means you have to pay attention for longer than just a night. I listened to the song Smiling Faces. It's from the '70s. Explains a lot. Maybe the message is different, but it's a good song. I'll have to listen to that one. No, because when I did the Smile live in the archive yesterday, I was like, oh my God. And I cried a lot about it during and after. I also noticed the fake smile so much now, and the smile feels realer. It feels insane though. Like at the same time, because it's like, man, how and then it gets me thinking like how often, and I know the answer is a lot, how often was I faking a smile when really I was in pain? How often did I put a smile on for my mom or my dad or my partner at the time, But in actuality, I was dying on the inside. Oh, yeah. Probably one of my biggest offenses against the world is laughing at things that I have no business laughing at. Like someone makes a racist joke that's not funny at all, and I'm like, because I don't want them to feel insecure. I don't want them to feel like I'm judging them for being not funny. Don't get me wrong. I'm not here for superiority of one race or another, but I genuinely believe that if you are not funny and making racist jokes, that makes it less okay. Like if you're actually funny with it, typically there's, and it's different person to person, but it's like there's a level of enlightenment that comes from, especially when it's like, what's the rule, like you can make fun of your own race, right? That racism is okay. Again, social fucking constructs. But what's funny is funny. And a lot of the times, racism, like the bad kind of racism, is just these patterns that get played out over and over and over again. And there's this weird mentality around it that it's like, oh, but that's usually what those people do. And it's like, oh, okay, so now we're going to deny the tracking of patterns because it's not inclusive or because it makes people feel less than. And it's like there's people of that race that are like, hey, look, that's what a lot of those people do. That's why it's funny and it's not really racist. It's just like this is just what human beings do. And there's a level of intelligence and emotional intelligence that you can't get wrapped up in if you're actually going to like live a unique individual life. Because otherwise, you're just going to end up as some politically correct, you know, individual when in reality, you're just a carbon copy of the next guy. Man, I did that a lot. Yeah, I did this a lot. And again, it's like, but I thought I was like, I didn't start to become cognizant of it till probably like 6 or 7 years ago, where I actually started to realize, like, oh, I don't think this is funny. I'm just trying to make this person feel good about themselves. And I would still do it. I would still freaking do it. I don't do it as much now. Yeah. I see a lot of similarities with the Matrix and HD, and the beautiful thing there is still free will. Right. And free will is so wild because part of free will is will. Will, which is the ability to exert power or force in the external world. Free will is the ability to exert it against other people's will. Freedom of will. You're putting your will against me, I'm going to put my will against you. Or I'm not going to put my will against you. Or I can align my will with you, and now both of our wills are towards another. And of course, there's this like overcoming of odds in the Matrix, that it's like the Matrix has you, but you could still free yourself. Look what Neo did. Yeah. Free will within the deterministic possibilities. So that's what I think the aura is, guys. A lot of people don't talk about the aura in this sense, but I believe the aura as like a potential reality. So it's like the size of your aura depends on how quickly you can get over here and like defend somebody. Like your aura is not big because you meditate and pray a lot. I mean, I think for sure, to a degree, it's big, but it's not actionable. It's not actually a protective sphere unless you can physically get there or unless you have influence over somebody that can physically get there. Food for thought. Jing, I don't know how to log onto the archive on my phone. So just go to portal.thearchive.life and you just log in using your email. Me too. I used to laugh at everything to protect other people's feelings and the fear of not fitting in. So cool to step out of that energy. People be making jokes for no reason about stuff that's not funny. Right, exactly. Yeah, some things are funny, some things are not funny. And if we are enabling people who are not only not funny, but they are trying to make jokes out of things that are like it's not appropriate time to make the joke, or it's not just not funny in general. Like if we enable those people with our fake smiles, it's kind of the same as us doing it. Right. And for me, I laugh at matters that weren't funny because of the awkward moments. Right. And again, none of this is bad. This is actually great information for y'all because first part of it, first part of transcendence is recognizing that you have a limitation. Even though I recognize that I laugh in situations to avoid my awkward feelings, like you might have to do that like 1,000 more times to get to the point where you're like, that didn't feel good. I don't like that you said that. Rather than just laughing it off. Might take you some time. I don't know how much time. Actually, I do know how much time. The more safe you make yourself, the less time it will take. That's why I'm so passionate about this, guys, is because I've suffered through this for years and I had no idea what to do. What exercise to do? I don't know. I'll do all these different ones. Some of them work, some of them don't. Why? Why don't they work? Now I have a system that works every time when I'm feeling anxious, when I'm feeling awkward, when I'm feeling ignored. I know exactly, my body knows exactly how to, okay, this is what I'm wanting. This is what I'm wanting from my partner. I'm just going to give it to myself right now. And it's stuff that's happening on the inside of me. So I can't tell you guys really what I'm doing because a lot of it is like diaphragms built upon diaphragms. But you have these same internal systems. And in the archive, we show you how to use them. What is sensory design? So, Angelique, sensory design is the physical approach to human design. Effectively, we're attempting to make human design more human, or rather, instead of obsessing over a map that is your body graph, you actually get a ship, lead a crew, and go on an adventure and find the treasure inside your body. Sensory design is a lot of sensory based exercises that introduce you to concepts like pressure and heat, which most people have very little experience with. And what it does is it makes you more robust. It makes you more tolerant. It makes you more empathetic. It makes you more sensitive, but it doesn't make you, how you say, weaker. It's actually giving you what human design promises, which is surrender to the form. So that way, instead of a conceptual understanding or a visual understanding of your body graph, you have a sensory based understanding of it. This is one of the drills that we do. Why? Do it yourself and see why. Hey, Marco, reading the report you sent me, it's extensive. Oh, yeah. Oh, Kylie, the birthday girl. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. Again, that's why we created the archive was because there's only so much the mind can absorb. And if the mind can't use the instrument that it's attached to, what good does knowing a bunch of stuff do? Like it's like if you know how to play guitar, but you're playing a guitar that's out of tune, it's not going to sound good. It's not going to sound like it sounds in your head. And so the magic of human design really doesn't start to kick on until you start practicing sensory design. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying we're the only ones that have the keys to like unlock your body. Like you could go do somatic breath work, you could go do shamanic healing, you could go do medicine journeys, but guess what? You're going to have to deal with a lot of inertia from all of the traditions and all of the conditioning and hierarchies that are of that system. When you come into the archive, it's like your two crazy brothers, Marco and Pasha, are just like doing their best to just give everyone the keys to the kingdom. It's what it is. I mean, for anyone that's in the archive, can you back me up? Is that how it feels? That's how I hope it feels because that's what I wanted. I didn't want to like join some like prestigious school of like lineage and stuff. I'm just like dude, we are in the gold rush. 21st, it's like the 21st century gold rush. Everyone's like rushing to AI to like learn all of this AI stuff. I'm like, dude, what happens when a solar flare just cooks everything and you have to rely on your sense of smell to find water? Because you can do both. You can do both. You can develop these skills, practical skills, surrender to your form, and learn how to leverage AI, be in the technological world. Neo did it, so I can too. I think that was the whole point of The Matrix 2 was to show us that anyone can be the one. The story of the one is made up in the Matrix. Sorry, spoilers. The story of the one is made up, and the path of the one is also made up. But Neo still found a way. Stephen, thank you for being such an awesome archive representative. Angelique, yes, links are in the bio to join. I recommend guys get the year. Like I want to see more people getting on the year because not only is it the most affordable price, but it's like you get locked in for a year. And for the rest of your life, that's your price. This thing is gonna it's gonna be like $1,000 membership. Midway through this year, it's gonna be like $1,000 a year membership. Because I don't want to lose that like, hey, crazy Marco, Pasha bros, you know. Like I like how intimate it is in the archive. So anyway, so I have Sun, Venus, and Saturn in gate 21.5. I'm doing the training in the archive every day for 2 weeks now, and my neck and mouth hurt so bad. I hope it's a sign that I'm on the right path. Yes, wonderful. You'll feel sore in places that you didn't know existed. And one thing that's important, and maybe we don't say this enough, but if you have like pains that show up and your body is like, well, hey, we need to chill, sometimes taking a week off is the best thing you can do. Again, the goal of this work is to teach you how to listen to your body and the signals that it's giving you, not to prove that you can do something at all. You know, we've got people that even though we've said, hey, for the first 28 days, your goal is to get through the archive. Some people are like, I want to spend the first month doing the head and ajna class. Great. Again, we don't have any ego around like, hey, this is the way to do it. It's just like, hey, you either are listening to your body or you're not listening to your body. These exercises are going to create sensations, and you're either going to listen to the sensations or not listen to the sensations. And so yeah, so like if you feel sore, if you feel like, okay, I need to take a day off, take a day off. That's awesome. You've been doing it every day for 2 weeks though, because what happens is you take a day off. This is my experience. There's been times when I'm like, oh my God, like my neck is so sore and my core is like super activated. And so I'm like, I need to take a day off. Then I take a day off. Then I'm like, ah, that felt nice. Then I take another day off and I'm like, ah, that felt nice too. Then I take it 3 or 4 days. By the time I'm at like day 4 or 5, I'm like, okay, I want to do this again. Because it's dopamigenic or dopamigenic. It releases dopamine. It releases dopamine. It physically feels good. So anyway, yeah. And it's like you start to disassociate pain and sensation. A lot of people, they associate pressure and pain. They associate, oh, it's getting hot in here as painful. Why? Why? Who taught you how to think like that? Who taught you how to experience reality? Your parents? Your fried ex-boyfriend? Whoever you were around, that's who was teaching you. Well, I respect you see it that way, but I always think his visit to the oracle, she told him what he needed to hear. Yeah. Yeah. Like the oracle thing is really interesting because, right? She says to Neo, she goes, um, I can't see past a decision that somebody doesn't understand. Like if you don't understand why you have to make the decision, or you don't understand the decision at all, there's no future. You can't get guidance in it because it's like if you don't understand this decision that you have to make or what you want out of that decision, how am I as the oracle supposed to help you? This is why like a lot of my one-on-one sessions is literally it's like let me help you get clear with where you're at so that you can stop pretending to be further along or further back. Like a lot of people, a lot of y'all think you're further back than you actually are. Yeah. If I may, I'm amazed when I catch Enya, hear the change in my emotional tone as voice as you talk. If I may, I am amazed when I catch the Enya, hear the change in emotional tone of your voice as you talk. Oh, it's yeah, I'm very dynamic when I speak, aren't I? Real deal hanging with my bros, expanding our bodies. Carrie knows what's up. myself, head hurts. Talk about how staying in a state of meditation to help you. I wouldn't say how you say that meditation is going to be the key. Like, for instance, a lot of people think they need to meditate for hours and hours a day to have a peaceful mind. Not necessarily. Your mind actually wants to be engaged, and it's supposed to think similar to how your heart wants to pump blood through your system. If you don't give your mind any engaging things to focus on, it'll start tearing you apart and creating problems in your life, which is going to make meditation very hard. What I recommend is people have a very simple, small meditation in the morning, like 5 minutes. I do this thing called RPM, rise, piss, meditate. Even if it's just 1 minute, just get in the habit of doing it. Like every day I wake up, I sit on these cushions down here and I meditate for at least 2 minutes. Usually it's longer, but at least 2 minutes is all I need to really check in and be like, okay, this is how I'm emotionally feeling. My hands are not hurting. My chest is feeling kind of tight. And it's not I'm checking off a checklist. I'm literally just like being present with myself the same way that if I was with you, part of me would be looking at you, but then part of me would be feeling your presence. So, anyway, love dopamine, previously addicted to cortisol, I think. Yeah. I've gotten back on cortisol, guys. I've gotten re addicted to stress thanks to the archive. Because what I realized is that cortisol is not bad. It's just when you don't know what to do with the cortisol, that's bad. Like when your body is dumping cortisol and you're not channeling it into like running as fast as you can and feeling amazing, that's when cortisol sucks. A lot of people are trying to reduce their cortisol um, levels because their body can't handle it rather than building a body that can handle cortisol, because cortisol is a naturally occurring thing. Emotional state would decrease. When I would meditate, I would notice how my emotional state would decrease. Yeah. So yeah, you are hearing when someone really cares about something and help them better understand themselves. Oh, so cool. Yeah. And it's like, again, most people, and this is how I see things, most people are overly valuing inspiration. And it's got them scrolling endlessly. It's got them buying courses that they don't need. Got them buying courses that they're not even doing, right? How many people do? I think it's like 60 to 70%. That's believable. Of people are spending money on courses and they're not even doing them. And the beauty of all that, the beauty of all that is that there's going to be like 30% or a couple people that actually buy it and do it, and they're gonna get the benefits. But again, most people are focused on inspiration. I want to be inspiring. I want to be influential. I want to reduce stress. It's like, no, dude, your life is too stressless. Nothing is chasing you. Nothing is getting you out of bed in the morning. If you didn't have appearances to keep up online, most of people would just fade away into nothingness. People are under stressed. They're under stressed and they're under prepared for when stress does hit. So then when stress does hit, they lose their freaking minds. Or they look, what would my guru say? I need to pay for a session with Marco so he can tell me what to do. What have I been saying? Please just come train with us. Train with yourself. Make yourself stronger. I can't always be there to help. I want to, but I can't. So you and Pasha are the most awesome brother homies, supportive, calling out, but making us feel like we can do the dang thing. That's right. That's right. Cha-cha, I love you. The Oracle, in my opinion, is listening to inside of yourself. Yeah. Yeah, like all of the characters in movies and stuff like that, like these are energies that we ourselves carry inside us. That's why we're able to relate with them. People these days can't self-regulate. They can, they just refuse to. Because they get rewarded. People get rewarded for failing to self-regulate. As a baby, that's different. But people today get rewarded. They get rewarded. People come and they praise them. They're like, oh my God, you didn't self regulate in this situation and you're blaming it on somebody else. Like, you're such a hero. Ooh, ah, ow, ooh. One of my favorite self-soothing techniques, the neck stroke. Guilty. Yeah, and I've been guilty of this too. That's why I love roasting. Because it's like, when you're a baby, you don't know any better. But if eventually you get older and you learn better and you also learn worse, and it's like, God, which conditioning do I use? It's like, I can't tell you. I can't tell you because I don't know what it's like to be in your body. As empathic as I am, I don't know what it's like to be in your body for 27 years, for 43 years. I'm not going to pretend, but that when you get a stress response, you go to this. Instead of saying, I feel scared, you say, you just feel really scared when so and so is talking, your boyfriend is talking to you and he's just going off. Like, you feel really scared. I'm like, I don't feel scared, dude. I don't have a boyfriend. You feel scared. Say, I feel scared. Stop projecting on me, please. I love you. Cortisol is stress, yes. Because you have free will. Yeah, exactly. Because everyone has free will. Because they can do that. And it's like, they're welcome to do that. Not in my bus. You know what I mean? Yepers, let's try bending spoons with our minds. Well, how wild would it be though? Because it's like to conceptualize the idea of bending a spoon. Also, imagine if you could heat your hand up so much that the spoon actually does become malleable. Like I just imagine Pasha like gripping a spoon so hard that the metal starts to heat up and the spoon just melts, and he'd be like, "Ha! I bent the spoon," and I'd be like, "Pasha, you actually melted the spoon, but that's still freaking incredible." Talk about cortisol and the 21. Myself and two girls have the 21 all in the same house. 145. 2. How do you use the cortisol in a healthy way with children when they don't want to run? Ooh, so exerting exercises with your children. One of the great ways, and the Maori had this figured out, is the oh my god, I'm blanking on the name. Hui? No. The haka, the Maori dance. They go like like that. That's what I'm talking about. It's one of the funnest games to play with your kids. Is just make crazy faces and do like really weird noises. Because again, 21 is about being in control and effort. So like one of the reasons why we love actors or we love singers is because they have control over parts of their body that they actually have control over. Right? Like you have control over your hand, right? Like you can grip and ungrip. Stress balls, right? Channel that control into something they can control. Breath holds. I remember when I was younger, I saw on a TV show or a cartoon or something a kid like hold his breath to try and get something he wants. Maybe use that, but not as like a I want to get what I want. Let's just like say, hey, who can hold their breath the longest? Because you can't control that. You can try to control that. You can try to hold your breath, but then you pass out and then your body starts breathing again. Rave people with finger lights. Yeah, in an alternate universe, I was totally a little rave puppy. But yeah, 21. Yeah, if they don't want to run, that's great. I would say as well, jujitsu is if you can throw them in jujitsu, that would help as well. Because jujitsu again shows you real quick who actually has control. Like you could have a real skinny dude fighting a real big dude, or even a woman fighting a real big dude, and if the woman knows her stuff, she'll be the one that's in control. And part of the 21 is to be in control. It's like it's alive. It's like I know who I am when I'm in control. And I know when I don't have control. So surrendering control as well. It's a relationship with control and the will to control. Or the will to not control. I will not control that. No, because I don't. And I can't. Because the 45 has yet to let me know. Because a position of authority has yet to give me jurisdiction over it. But as the 45, leverage that 45 to let them know what they have control over. They don't have control of their thoughts. They don't have control of their emotions. They have control over and command over their bodies and how they're going to choose it. If your emotions are uncontrollable, right? What does that teach? It's like, oh, don't resist the emotions, right? These emotions are going to be here. Don't suppress them, but go to a place where it's appropriate to experience them. not in the middle of the store. That's why kids, as they're older, right, if they're throwing fits in the stores, be like, hey, when we get home, we're going to do this. You're going to let out all this anger. But right now, can you just like channel it? I'm angry too. I'll channel it with you. When we get home, we're going to go crazy. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Kids are like really looking at us. They're really looking at us. So, yeah, with that 21, find a place to control it or find a means of channeling that. If Pasha happens to not be able to get reception for SD today, then will it be rescheduled for another day? I've got a request for a Zoom. Like a one-on-one, Roberta? Is that what you mean? What interpretation slash perspective when Ra says no choice? He's talking about how everyone thinks that we're creator consciousness, but we're actually just passengers, like experiencing consciousness. And specifically, science is now starting to prove that the mind is not creating consciousness, it's archiving it and cataloging it. Meaning that our bodies are not necessarily consciousness and our minds are not necessarily consciousness so much as the vessel of consciousness. That consciousness exists with or without our bodies, and that our brain is the thing that translates consciousness, and our body is the thing that remembers consciousness. Damn, that was good. Great question, Luis. Um, yeah, we're not creator consciousness. How do I know that? Because I can't instantly create an elephant in my hand. Oh, but there's a delay in the creation. Yeah, exactly. So it has to be built. It has to be translated and built. Like the body? Yeah, I don't know. For some people it's very empowering to feel like, "Oh, I'm in control. I'm a creator consciousness. I'm in control." Right? They say the best way to predict the future is to create it. I'm like, "No, it's to surrender." There's no effort in that to surrender. People don't know how to actually surrender though. Anyway, oh, Roberta, I got you. I mean, Roberta, go for the Zoom. If it's important, again, listen to your inner authority. If it's important, do it. If your inner authority is like, no, then don't do it. It's going to be recorded anyway if we do it. So that's what I have to say to that, Roberta. I love that everyone is so like not wanting to miss class, but like, we record class so that you guys will never actually miss it. I know it's really fun to be in there live, but yeah, you guys aren't going to miss anything. Consciousness is in the air that we breathe, right? Conspire. Con, together, spire, breathe. Conspire. We're breathing together. There's great value in the community for show. Yeah, I freaking love this community, guys. I love my archive people. And not just because you guys joined and you're like, you love us, but because you're like, you guys are making things happen in your own lives. And it's freaking amazing. Aloha from Maui. Aloha from Maui. I'm in Maui too. Which eventually I'm gonna actually be starting to do classes here on Maui. Just kind of getting the schedules synced up. But for anyone on Maui, um, keep your eyes, keep your potatoes peeled, because we're gonna be starting classes. All right, guys, I gotta go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. If you guys are enjoying this, do me a favor, please like the live, share the live. I think is the metric that is the most important. Also, it's like if you enjoy this, don't just like it, share it with the people so everyone can get on this tip. I'll be right back. I'm gonna still live. All right, friends and family, that's gonna be it for me today. I just saw my daughter and My internal authority tells me to go play with her. So I'm gonna surrender and listen. Hear that rain? You're so funny. Save this live. So all of these lives get uploaded to YouTube, and yeah, unpopular opinion or unpopular question, but where do you stand with regards to true sidereal human design slash astrology? I'm not for it. I don't think that the voice would have told Ra to calculate all this stuff. Like he didn't forget about sidereal astrology. Sidereal astrology is very much so a part of human design. It's just not used for individual charts. It's used for global incarnation crosses. Which, if you actually look at what sidereal astrology is and versus tropical, you'll start to see like, oh, why it actually makes sense for the individual charts to be calculated with tropical and the global incarnations to be calculated with sidereal. But anyway, feel free to do that. Although, again, whether it's sidereal astrology, tropical astrology, human design, quantum human design, gene keys, unless you get into your body with it, and unless you learn about your physical sensory vessel, it's just, it's just, eh, it's just, what is it? I don't even know what it is. It's just talking heads. It's just lotus eaters. It's just, the seeds of shadow gurus and dark teachers. You know what I mean? Like get into the physical body with it. Um, yeah. Anyway, all of my lives are on YouTube, guys. Come join the archive. I've said that like 1,000 times. If you want a report or you want a one-on-one, all of that is in my my uh my link in my bio. And then also, yeah, we are going to be doing a class hopefully in like 40 minutes or so here. So if you guys do want to join in on a live class, we're going to have one coming up here soon. At least I'm pretty sure we are. We plan to have one, but Pasha is kind of having this like a sudden travel situation. So we will see. But again, regardless, all of the classes are saved in the archive. That's part of what you're paying for. And there's a super fun community for you guys to join. So with that being said, love you guys. I'll see you on Wednesday. I go live Monday, Wednesday, Friday at the same time, 9 a.m. Hawaii Standard Time. So hopefully catch you on one of those. Peace. Love you guys.